Go. I've taken the map off, so she can go.
You'll be on max one, right?
So, hi, let's go now. Thank you. Bye. Okay. This is meteorologist Gary Canulty with a severe weather bulletin. A tornado warning has been issued for central portions of Crawford County until 4:30 p.m. This is basically the southern portion of Crawford County from around Gays Mills back into the area around Mount Zion. If you're in this area, you need to take cover immediately. We have a tornado warning for this area that is in effect until 4:30. Now, the reason for this is a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado 11 miles east of Harper's Ferry, or about 16 miles southeast of Lansing, moving to the east at 25 miles per hour. We've been watching this storm, and I'm going to take a look at the wind velocity here, because this is an area where we have seen at least some wind rotation earlier, and right now we're starting to see wind rotation, and that would be in this area just to the southwest of Mount Sterling. So this area here is where the wind rotation is. If I had to place a marker here as to where a possible tornado would be in this, right now it looks like the area most likely would be just about maybe 3 or 4 miles southwest of Gays Mills. So if you are anywhere along Highway 171, near Highway 131, basically from Gays Mills southward, especially over toward Haney, you need to be in a safe place immediately. This storm is rotating. We haven't had a report of a tornado touchdown, but we've been watching this storm as it includes rotation with it. The severe thunderstorm warning for the central portion of Crawford County has now been upgraded to a tornado warning until 4:30. Let's take a look at the track on this here. This storm basically has been moving from west to east, and I'm going to take a quick peek at the actual track of the storm moving through Crawford County. Back to the west here. Let's just move the radar over here a bit so we can see it. The storm right now, in this area right here, it's moved east of Eastman. The storm moving pretty rapidly to the east. So if you are anywhere as far east as Highway 61, you need to be in a safe area immediately, because this storm is heading in your direction. In addition, additional strong thunderstorms are now starting to develop farther to the south over toward Wazeeka, and then also to the north over toward Soldiers Grove. This storm capable of producing strong straight line winds to 70 miles per hour, and severe thunderstorm warnings have been issued into Sauk County for that area, and it looks like we might have additional warnings now for Richland County. So let's take a look at the latest warnings here. We have a severe thunderstorm warning now for Richland County until 4:45. In addition, we have a severe thunderstorm warning farther to the northeast, and that is for Sauk, the western portion of Sauk County. That warning is in effect, I believe, until 4:45. That's this area here around Logansville. So this area under a severe thunderstorm warning till 4:45, 4:30 for Richland County, and then, of course, the tornado warning for the central portion of Crawford County, and that is in effect until 4:30. We'll go back to that storm in Crawford County because it's a relatively small area, just to the south of Gays Mills, over toward Haney, about as far east as Mount Zion. This storm moving pretty rapidly off toward the east. We'll take a look at the wind velocities and see if we can get a better idea where the possible tornado may be. And that would be probably right just to the south-southwest of Gays Mills. In fact, we could actually take a quick look at how far that is from Gays Mills. So we're probably looking at about 4 miles to the south-southwest of Gays Mills. This is where a possible tornado would be. That would be moving in an east-northeasterly direction, just to the south of Gays Mills. But if you're in Gays Mills, you need to be in a safe place. Haney, anywhere along between there, along Highway 131, you need to be in a safe area, because this storm does have the potential for producing a tornado as it heads off to the east-northeast pretty rapidly. Farther to the north, the potential would be more for strong straight-line winds. In fact, if we move the map, and I'll just take a look here to see where the strong winds are headed, because this storm, it's actually a cluster of storms that is also capable of producing some strong straight-line winds right now over Vernon County, but this will be heading into the northern portions of Richland County and then eventually over into Sauk County, where severe thunderstorm warnings have already been issued. So there's Richland County, and then you can see also these areas of very strong winds just in the eastern portion of Vernon County. That'll be moving into the northern and northeastern portions of Richland County and also the northwestern portions of Sauk County. These winds may be capable of producing strong straight-line wind damage of 70 miles per hour or greater. That would head it over toward Laval, Loganville, eventually over toward the Reedsburg area within about the next half hour. So if you're in this area, I would also prepare almost like I would for a tornado because of the strong straight-line wind potential from these storms that are moving out of Vernon County and the northern portions of Richland County. Farther to the south, of course, the tornado threat is a little bit higher into Crawford County. We're watching that wind rotation just to the south. Now it looks like it's almost to the south of Gaze Mills. So that would be this area right here. Here's Gaze Mills, so about maybe 3 to 4 miles south of Gaze Mills. This storm heading toward Highway 131. This is where the tornado potential is highest. We're seeing the rotation broaden out a little bit more, but still the potential is there that this storm could produce a tornado at any time. We're looking to see from the National Weather Service whether or not there is a tornado with this storm. Right now, we just have a radar-indicated tornado rather than a confirmed tornado touchdown. So that's good news. But again, if you are anywhere from Gaze Mills eastward into as far east as Highway US 160 or US 61, you need to be in a safe area immediately. And in fact, as far as tornado safety rules are concerned, if you're at home, the best place to be in a tornado is in the center part of your basement. That's the best place to be, under a stairwell, sturdy furniture, somewhere in the middle part of the basement. If you don't have a basement, an interior room or closet on the lowest floor, best place to be. Cover yourself up with blankets or pillows or cushions, something to protect yourself from flying debris. If you're in a mobile home, you need to get out and find shelter elsewhere. If you're over towards, say, US 61, you've got a little time you can get in your car, but that storm is moving pretty quickly at about 30 to 40 miles per hour. So make sure that you get out of your mobile home, find shelter in a sturdy building nearby. And obviously you don't want to be in a car when a tornado threatens, so you've got to be far enough out ahead of the storm. And again, we're looking where this storm is right now. It appears to be just at the area that we're really most concerned with is just to the south of Gaze Mills. We're going to zoom in on this area a little bit more here. Here's Gaze Mills. We're seeing the greatest potential for a tornado probably in this area here with the precipitation starting to wrap around a little bit. So that's an indication, a little bit of a hook echo what we're seeing. And the other threat here is going to be large hail probably north of Gaze Mills and Highway 171. But from Gaze Mills to the south, this is where the tornado threat is highest, right along Highway 131, and then eventually eastward as far east as US 61. We'll go back to the radar display here. Again, if you're just joining us, we have a tornado warning for the central portion of Crawford County. That warning in effect until 4:30. We also have severe thunderstorm warnings also to the northeast into parts of Richland and Sauk County. So here's the latest radar velocity, not seeing the tight wind circulation that we saw before. Right now, probably if there's a tornado, it's right along Wisconsin 131 south of Gaze Mills near Bell Center. That would take it eastward toward US 61 probably in about the next 5 to 10 minutes. In fact, we go back to the original radar display here, and I'm just going to set this up so that we can go back to it pretty quickly, but I'm going to do a storm track here and let you know exactly the area that's most at risk from this possible tornado, and that would be areas just to the south and east of Gaze Mills and then moving almost due east from there. So we'll do a quick storm track on this here. And moving in this direction, this is the area that is probably most at risk from a tornado right now. Again, that about maybe 15 minutes from now, that would get it near rolling ground. Right now we're at about quarter after 4. Anywhere by US 61, probably we'll be seeing that tornado or at least the threat for a tornado within about the next 15 minutes. This cone shows where the storm is going to be over the next half hour. So you can see it is moving pretty quickly, but this is the area in red. This is the tornado warning area. South and west of Gaze Mills, south of Mount Sterling, this area probably in the clear right now. So right along Highway 131 in areas east, that's where the tornado threat seems to be a little bit higher. Although, in looking with the wind velocities here, I'm just going to jump from the radar display directly to the wind velocity so you get a better idea, and we'll keep the map in the same position here. You can see that circulation that we're looking at, where the reds and greens come together, not as pronounced as we saw just a few minutes ago. So the wind circulation has now crossed Highway 131, is about maybe 5 miles south-southeast of Gaze Mills, and is heading eastward toward Mount Zion. So Mount Zion, you're next in line for this storm. You need to be in a safe area because this storm is moving pretty quickly at about 35 to 40 miles per hour. So that means it'll be in your vicinity probably within about the next 5 to 10 minutes. So make sure that you are in a safe area. Farther to the north, the other problem that we've been watching is the potential for very strong straight-line winds. This is the northern portion of Richland County and eventually moving into the northern portions of Sauk County. So these areas right here around Yuba, right on the Richland and Vernon County line, may be seeing some strong straight-line winds of 70 miles per hour or greater as the storm continues to head off toward the east-southeast. That eventually will take it into the northern portions of Sauk and the western portions of Sauk County west of Reedsburg. So if you're in that area, I would almost prepare for a tornado as well, because this could produce wind damage very similar to that of a tornado. And so we'll go back and look at the latest warnings that we have here right now. And these are, and you can see there are several warnings that we have in effect here. We have a tornado warning. This warning in effect until 4:30. That is for the central portion of Crawford County. That's from a radar-indicated tornado. We also have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for the rest of Crawford County. That's in effect until 4:30. We have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Richland County. That's in effect until 4:45. And then farther to the northeast, severe thunderstorm warning until 4:45 for Sauk County. That includes Loganville, Laval, areas west of Reedsburg. And this area needs to prepare for strong straight-line winds of 70 miles per hour or greater as that storm continues in. So the storm in Crawford County, we'll go back to that because we do have the tornado warning there. And I apologize for those people who are watching golf. We'll get back to golf as quickly as possible. But again, with a tornado warning, we want to make sure that we're on the air here, letting people know exactly what's going on as far as the tornado threat. And so we'll look at the wind velocity now. And again, that circulation moving a little further east now, just east of Highway 131, just to the northeast of Haney. If there is a tornado, this is the area most likely to be seeing it. But Mount Zion, you are definitely in the path of the storm. So you need to be in a safe area immediately. And then the storm, as it holds together, may eventually head toward Aiken and Richwood, farther to the east. That's probably about maybe 20 to 25 minutes from now. The warning itself, and I can actually just put the warning here so you get an idea of exactly where the tornado warning is. That would be this area right here. So the tornado warning extends really to Highway 61, depending on how this circulation holds up. And now it looks like it's moved a little further to the southeast of Gaze Mills and just to the northeast of Haney. So you can see they've already cut off the western portion of that warning. So now the warning basically between Highway 131 and Highway 61, tornado warning in effect until 4:30 for the central portions of Crawford County. Meantime, the rest of Crawford County under a severe thunderstorm warning. Greatest threat is going to be strong straight-line winds, especially in the northern portions of Crawford County, heading up toward Soldiers Grove. And then farther to the northeast, again, we don't want to discount the wind damage potential here, and this is going to be for northern portions of Richland County and eventually into the northern portions of Sauk County. These are pockets of very strong straight-line winds that may be pushed down to the surface by the heavy rain that has been occurring. So now areas around Rockbridge, you are probably, if you're not experiencing the straight-line winds, you will very, very shortly. Richland Center, you've got about 5 to 10 minutes before winds of 60 to 70 miles per hour reach your area. And then farther east toward Reedsburg, Loganville, you're probably in line for this storm within about the next 20 to 25 minutes as these storms continue to push out of Vernon County and northern Richland County into the western portions of Sauk County. So if you are pretty much in the western third of Sauk County from about Reedsburg westward, be prepared for very strong straight-line winds. And to be honest with you, I probably would prepare for it like I would for a tornado, because this is capable of producing straight-line winds of 70 miles per hour that could cause damage very similar to a weak tornado. Also starting to see some strong straight-line wind potential in the southern portion of Crawford County and into northern portions of Grant County, or just getting ready to go in northern portions of Grant County, right along the Wisconsin River near Boscobel and just to the southeast of Steuben. So that's an area, too, that we need to watch for the potential for strong straight-line winds. Let's go ahead and look at the tornado potential. This is the central portion of Crawford County. Right now, the wind circulation probably about 4 to 5 miles east of Bell Center in Petersburg. Here's U.S. Highway 61, Mount Zion, just to the south there. This storm heading in that direction. The wind circulation not as tight as we saw before, but the potential is there that this storm could produce a tornado at any time. That's why we do have a tornado warning in effect for the central portion of Crawford County until 4:30. So a little wider radar perspective here. We'll go through the warnings again. Tornado warning in effect for the central portion of Crawford County until 4:30. That is for the area between Gaze Mills and Highway 61. The rest of Crawford County, mainly really the eastern portion of Crawford County, from Highway 131 eastward, if you're not in the tornado warning area, you're in a severe thunderstorm warning with the potential that a tornado could be possible. In fact, that's what the alert actually says here. The Weather Service tagged tornado possible. So not a tornado warning, but the potential is there. The storm could produce a tornado as it heads out of the tornado warning area into the rest of Crawford County. So be prepared for the possibility for perhaps a tornado to develop in the eastern portion of Crawford County. Then if we look further to the north, and Austin Kopnitsky here with some new information. Severe thunderstorm or tornado warning now for northeastern Grant County and southeastern Crawford County. So this is a new tornado warning coming in effect here. And Austin, if you could call closed captioning right away, get them on the line. We need to get that taken care of. So here is a new tornado warning. This tornado warning now for the area right around Boscobel over to Muscadet and about as far south as Castle Rock. This tornado warning now in effect until 5 p.m. So this is right along the Wisconsin River, anywhere from Wazeeka eastward into Boscobel. Boscobel, you need to seek shelter immediately. The storm continues to head off in that direction. So this is, as that storm continues off toward the south and east, we're starting to see the potential there. And let's take a look at where the wind velocities might be conducive to a tornado here. And so what we're seeing, this is that area of strong winds that I was pointing out just before as it approached the Wisconsin River. Right now, the straight line wind potential is probably greater, but because of the fact that these straight line winds are reaching the ground, the winds here are lighter, we could start to see a circulation develop pretty quickly in the area near Boscobel. And in fact, the warning itself says, severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado near Boscobel, moving to the east at 30 miles per hour. So again, this would take it along or just south, right along the Wisconsin River from Boscobel eastward into the Muscadet area. In fact, we'll put the warning box here over it, and you can see the tornado warning extends as far east as Muscadet, as far south as Castle Rock, and then, of course, we have the other tornado warning farther to the north into the central portions of Crawford County. So 2 tornado warnings in effect. 445 central portions of Crawford County. This storm approaching Highway 61. The wind circulation not as pronounced as we saw a few minutes ago. The storm may be weakening a little bit, but now we're starting to see the winds really start to pick up in the area around Boscobel, the strong straight line winds. There also could be another little rotation starting to develop just to the northeast of Wazeeka. We'll have to keep an eye on that. But right now, if we sample the winds here, just to give you an idea of what the wind velocities are in the top part of the storm, and I'll take the warning information off here so you can get a little better idea. But what we're seeing, and this is what we're looking at when it comes to taking a look at the what we're seeing on the Doppler radar. So we're seeing strong straight line winds at 51 miles an hour moving directly away from the Doppler radar in La Crosse. The problem is that this storm is moving eastward, so it's probably underestimating the strength of the winds because the radar can only measure the winds either blowing toward the radar or away from the radar. For a storm that's blowing going perpendicular to the radar beam, we're not seeing how strong the winds actually are, so it's probably a little bit stronger than this. We're also seeing some shear starting to show up. That's an indication of rotation within the storm. Let me see if we can see this on our shear track product because this might give us a little bit better idea as to where we might be seeing. And what we're looking at here, and this is just to the north of Woodman, just to the west of Boscobel. What we're seeing is at least in this little area over here. Let's kind of highlight it. We're seeing at least some wind rotation. This area that's kind of colored in here a little bit, this is where we're seeing wind rotation, wind shear that could develop into a tornado. So the tornado threat appears to be increasing for the area around Boscobel. That shear track that we saw earlier, weakening as it passed Highway 131. So farther to the north, over toward the central portion of Crawford County, the tornado threat still there. You can see that wind shear now approaching Highway 61. We've been tracking that wind circulation. So this area here still has a tornado threat, although not as pronounced perhaps now as it is farther to the south. So we'll go back here. We'll set the radar up. And now we're seeing, yeah, this is interesting. We're starting to see a definite hook echo here developing. This could be a sign that a tornado is developing just to the west of Boscobel. And we're going to save this here. Switch over to the wind velocity. And yeah, this area here, just to the west of Boscobel, we're seeing some pretty good wind rotation just north of the Wisconsin River, about ready to approach Boscobel from the west. If you're in Boscobel, you need to be in a safe place immediately. This storm is heading directly at you. Should be within your area within about the next 2 to 3 minutes. So this area, very concerned for the possibility for a tornado. Farther to the north, that wind circulation in Crawford County weakened quite a bit. That warning in effect until 4:30, and I don't know if the National Weather Service is going to extend that or not. We'll have to see. But right now, it's the area right around Boscobel that we're most concerned of. Possible tornado in that area. Again, tornado warning. This area here, we'll put the information on the screen so you can see it. Tornado warning, northern portions of Grant County, far southeastern portions of Crawford County. That tornado warning in effect until 5 p.m. This area here, just to the west of Boscobel, starting to see a hook echo. This is a much more concerning situation because it's on the south edge of the storm. The storm continues to increase in intensity as it heads toward Boscobel. We're seeing quite a bit of wind rotation there. So just waiting to see if we're getting any new information from the National Weather Service. Right now, not seeing anything as far as an actual touchdown, but we are seeing the radar indicated tornado just to the west of Boscobel. Again, traveling near or just south of the Wisconsin River over the next few minutes, right along Highway 133 that runs east of Boscobel. So Muscadet, you've got some time. Get into a safe area immediately. The storm heading in your direction probably will be there within about the next half hour or so. In fact, if we did a storm track on this, let's do a quick storm track to show you where this tornado is heading and some of the arrival times here. This is at about 30 miles per hour. So this would take the area right around Muscadet by about 4:55. Boscobel, within the next 5 minutes, the tornado should be there. Hickory Grove, about 4:41. So this is the area right along Highway 133 from the eastern portion, or from Boscobel eastward through the far northern portions of Grant County and the far southern portions of Crawford County. That area under a tornado warning in effect until 4:30. Let's clear that off there. And we'll see farther to the north. Looks like the tornado warning still continues for central portions of Crawford County. Waiting to see if that warning is expected to be allowed to expire. Latest information, National Weather Service still going with the warning, not seeing any, at least good news, not seeing any touchdown information. So far, all of this is radar indicated, so that's some good news. But again, that doesn't mean that a tornado can't develop very, very quickly. And this area just to the west of Boscobel, right around Marietta, between Marietta and Boscobel, this area very concerning because we're seeing not only the wind velocity, but we're also seeing what we call a hook echo, where the precipitation wraps around where a possible tornado would be developing. And that's right in the area we're seeing that wind circulation just to the west of Boscobel. So Boscobel, you need to be in a safe place. This storm is definitely heading in your direction and is moving straight eastward. So after it passes Boscobel, we'll eventually head eastward toward Muscadet within about the next half hour or so. So if you're along or south of Highway 133, go to your safe area immediately. This storm is heading in your direction. As far west as Marietta, I would be in a safe place. Farther to the west of Highway 131, things have probably settled down. Farther to the north, this is that storm that has passed through Crawford County. Let's just look to the north here. Still seeing a bit of a wind circulation there, and I'm going to put the storm outlines here, the warning outlines. Yeah, the wind circulation is just right at the edge of that tornado warning, waiting to see if the National Weather Service decides to reissue that warning. But right now, at least that seems to be a little bit less of a threat than the area right around Boscobel. This area here, you need to be in a safe area immediately because this area under a tornado warning until 5 p.m. And then let's look farther to the north because now we have that strong wind damage potential now moving through the northern portion of Richland County and into the northern portion of Sauk County. So these are strong straight line winds around Highway 80 north of Richland Center. These are moving to the east-southeast. Some very strong winds now moving into the northwestern portions of Sauk County to the west of Laval. These are heading toward Reedsburg and eventually Loganville. This area under a severe thunderstorm warning until 4:45 p.m. But this area here very easily could be looking at some very strong straight line winds of 60 to 70 miles per hour or greater. Let's just do a quick check here on the wind velocities and see how strong some of those winds are. And these wind velocities showed about 60 miles per hour. Now these winds are basically, we're sampling the radar site in the La Crosse area. So these winds are blowing in the same direction as the radar beam. So we're getting a little better indication as to the wind velocity. That's probably closer to the truth. And in fact, I'm going to switch to a different type of velocity product here just to see if we can highlight this a little bit better. And so the strongest winds right now appear to be just to the south and west of Laval, very minimum, 40 to 50 mile per hour winds, but we could be seeing some winds in the 60 to 70 mile per hour range from that storm as it continues through the northwestern portion of Sauk County. So let's go back to our main display here. Tornado warning, this warning in effect until 5 p.m. for the far northern portion of Grant County and the far southeastern portion of Crawford County. We're still seeing that hook echo right here, just ready to move into Boscobel. So Boscobel, this storm is right on top of you right now. You need to be in a safe area. We'll switch over to the wind velocity here and take a look at this. Still seeing that circulation. Another thing I'm going to take a quick look at to see is if we have any wind debris being lofted into the air. And I'm going to take a quick peek at that because sometimes this will let us know whether or not damage is occurring on the ground. So there's that wind circulation. What we're looking at here is we're looking for some blue pixels to start showing up. That's an indication that debris is being lofted into the air, and it's a much better indication that a tornado is touching down. Right now, we're kind of marginal. When you see the colors all the same like this, that means what the radar is seeing is pretty much the same thing, probably raindrops. If you start seeing different colors showing up along with the red, that's an indication that we're starting to see some different objects. In most cases, that will be hail. But when we start seeing blue pixels show up here, that's an indication that we're seeing much different type of a return from the radar and that it's probably debris being lofted into the air. So right now, this area right around Boscobel, we're going to keep a very close eye on that. I'm going to leave that in here just so that we can take a look and see whether or not that area is in line for a possible tornado. And again, you can see that very pronounced hook echo now moving into Boscobel. The radar display, the velocity display showing the wind circulation in and around Boscobel. We'll take a look at the winds here, and these are winds on the west side of the storm moving basically about 70 to 80 miles per hour in a southeasterly direction, or at least away from the radar. Then if we clear that off and look at the winds on the east side, we're seeing winds blowing 56 miles per hour in the opposite direction. So we're seeing a pretty good amount of rotation there. So I'm very concerned for the area right around Boscobel. Still not seeing any debris lofted into the air. That's a good sign for right now, but that could change. Every time the radar beam updates and we go through there, we'll have to see whether or not we're seeing actual debris on the ground. But this is a very concerning situation. If you're around Boscobel, you need to be in a safe area immediately. And again, we are monitoring the situation. We've got a tornado warning for the northern portions of Grant County and the far southeastern portion of Crawford County. That warning in effect until 5 p.m. for a possible tornado in the vicinity of Boscobel. Let's just see if we have any additional warnings coming in here. We'll widen out the view here. It looks like the tornado warning for Crawford County has been allowed to expire That's good news there. That storm has moved into Richland County, and just a little wider radar perspective here. You can see these storms now through Richland Center. They're broadening out, so it's mainly the south part of this area that has the highest tornado potential. The strong straight line winds are going to be in the front edge of this area. And another thing, I'm going to save this here so that we can come back to it. So first we'll take a look at the wind velocities. Again, Boscobel, very pronounced wind circulation there. Straight line wind potential, very high from Richland Center northward into the northwestern portion of Sauk County, north and west of Loganville. Not seeing debris lofted there, that's good. Hail potential, some of these storms could produce hail up to the size of quarters. A wider radar perspective now shows this line of storms running from southern portions of Juneau County through the area around Sauk County and then back into the area around northern portions of Grant County. Looks like a severe thunderstorm watch has been issued for the south central portion of Wisconsin, including the Madison metro area, until 9 p.m. Again, as this line of storms continues off toward the east and maybe even builds a little bit back toward the southwest and heads to the east-southeast, Madison is going to be in line for these storms. This is future radar over the next 3 hours, and you can see how quickly this line of storms may accelerate. So if we see that happen and we see this Boeing echo, we may be back into a strong straight line wind situation, especially from, say, Richland and Sauk counties, eventually through much of Sauk County, Dane County, and Columbia County over the next couple of hours. This takes us through about 7:30, and this might be a little bit fast, but it's a pretty good indication because you can see at the front edge, that's about where the storms are now. So the computer models are really locking on to where the storms are now, and because of that, it gives me a much better confidence, at least, that the timing on that is going to be pretty good. So much of southern Wisconsin may be in line for severe weather tonight. Again, tornado warning right now in effect until 5 p.m. That is for the northern portions of Grant County, far southeastern Crawford County. The wind circulation that we're watching right now, right around Boscobel, and I'm going to zoom in on that in just a second. This area right here. So this storm has just passed through Boscobel and is now moving just southeast of Boscobel, just south of Highway 133. Hickory Grove, you're in line next for this storm. So I'm zooming in as far as we can here to show you who's going to be in line. So this storm will pass right along or just south of Highway 133 as it heads to mainly straight east, and it's moving at about 30 to 35 miles per hour. If we did a quick storm track on this here, and I'll do that just to give you an idea. So this is at 30 miles per hour. This shows you where the storm would be headed. Hickory Grove, you would be in line for this probably in about the next 10 minutes. So you need to be in a safe area immediately. Hopefully that will keep it south of Muscadet along Highway 133, south of Blue River. But Hickory Grove, more in line for this storm. And then eventually, as it moves eastward, we'll be moving into the far eastern portions of Grant County, far northern portions of Grant County over the next few minutes. So again, right now, tornado warning in effect for the northern portions of Grant County, far southern portions of Crawford County. That warning in effect until 5 p.m. And I'm going to save this here just so we can come back to it. Let's check out that wind velocity again. The rotation broadening a little bit, but we're still at the very least seeing some strong straight line winds on the backside of the storm as the rotation continues to wrap around to the east and northeast of Boscobel. Looks like the latest radar update coming in here. So this is the area. If I had to put a marker where I would suspect the tornado to be, it would be right in this area right here, just to the northwest of Hickory Grove. If we did a scan on this as far as measurement, that would put it about 4 miles to the southeast of Boscobel and maybe just about 2 miles northwest of Hickory Grove, 1 to 2 miles northwest. So Hickory Grove, you need to be in a safe area immediately. But as the storm continues off toward the east, this is a more rural area north of Castle Rock and south of Highway 133. There's Muscadet there. So this area, a little more sparsely populated, which means it's good that it's not heading directly toward a more populated area. But still, if you are in this area, you need to be in a safe area immediately because of the fact that this storm could produce a tornado at any time. We'll look at the wind debris. We probably have a tornado on the ground here. This is right here. This is an indication. This is what I've been looking for. This is probably debris being lofted into the air. So Hickory Grove, very, very important that you're in a safe area. This storm probably on the ground now, probably producing a tornado. And so really concerned about this. When we start seeing that tornado debris signature, we're probably seeing debris lofted up in the air based on that update there. So Hickory Grove, you need to be in a safe area. Anywhere south of Blue River, this storm probably on the ground producing a tornado. We're waiting to see any updates from the National Weather Service. If they have updated that, and still waiting to see the latest update. Haven't seen anything. The last update was as of about 5 minutes ago. But they are saying tornado and quarter-sized hail. But again, this is a pretty good indication that some debris is being lofted in the air. Now, because it's a rural area, it might be more trees, plants, corn stalks, that sort of thing. But what we're seeing is that debris is being lofted in the air, so there's most likely a tornado on the ground. We're still seeing that very strong wind circulation in the same general area. Very high confidence that this storm is producing a tornado. You need to be in a safe area immediately. Let's go to our tornado safety rules here. If you are at home, you need to be in a safe area. The best place to be is going to be the center part of your basement. If you have a stairwell, you have some furniture, get under that. If you don't have a basement, an interior room or closet on the lowest floor, cover yourself with pillows or blankets. That's an area where you need to be. Austin Kopnitsky here with some new information. Okay, so now tornado warning in effect for northwestern Iowa County. And let's see. Yeah, so now the National Weather Service, yeah, this is becoming a pretty severe situation here. And let me explain what is going on. So the National Weather Service has just extended the tornado warning eastward into Iowa County. So this is well out ahead of that storm. And I'll show you the area right here. Tornado warning, northern portions of Iowa County. So that's along and south of the Wisconsin River, as far south as Highland, and as far east as Highway 33, just to the west of Spring Green. The reason they're issuing this tornado warning is to give you some advance time, because this is now, according to the National Weather Service, tornado-producing storm located near Boscobel, moving east at 25 miles per hour, tornado observed. So they're seeing the exact same thing that we were looking at before, that debris being lofted into the air. So very high confidence that this storm is producing a tornado right now just to the east of Boscobel, traveling through the northern portions of Grant County and eventually into the northern portions of Iowa County. So Muscadet, you need to be in a safe area immediately. Highland, areas north of Highland on Highway 80, you need to go to a safe area immediately. If you don't have, if you're in a location like a mobile home or a very poorly constructed home, now is the time to find shelter somewhere else. You've got a little time. The storm moving due east at about 30 miles per hour. If we do a storm track on that here, we'll show you where that would take it. So that's at 32 miles an hour. That brings it into the area right around Legion Park by right around 5:10. So this tornado warning here in effect for, I'm just going to take that last update off here so you can see the tornado warning here. So tornado warning 5:45 for northern Iowa County. So you've got some time to get into a safe area, but look at this hook echo here. This is serious business. We are really concerned about the potential here, and I'm going to zoom back in on that area so we can just kind of track along here, because this is about as certain of a signature as you're going to see on radar that we have the potential here for a tornado on the ground. We most likely do. So I'm just going to save this here so I can go back and forth to it. And so here's the wind circulation. Now about 5 to 6 miles east of Boscobel, just to the northwest of Hickory Grove. Hickory Grove, if it's not in where you are, it's going to be just to the north of you. Very, very close call here. So the tornado probably crossing right just to the north of Hickory Grove. And then as we continue off toward the east, it'll be heading to just to the south of Muscadet over about the next 10 to 15 minutes. Let's go back to the debris signature. Yeah, we're still seeing debris lofted up in the air here. So very, very good confirmation that we have a tornado on the ground. We have not had any reports that I know of, at least yet, from weather spotters, but I would not be surprised if they start coming in. So this is a very serious situation. If you are in the northern portion of Grant County, east of Boscobel, south of Blue River, around Hickory Grove, and then eastward to south of Muscoda, you need to be in a safe area immediately. This storm is producing a tornado. It's probably producing damage as well and continues off toward the east. Let's go ahead and take a look. We're going to see if we can put the radar into motion here. So this is the southern edge of a line of severe thunderstorms, also probably producing some strong straight-line winds through Sauk County up to the north into Richland County. The southernmost part of this line is the area most likely to produce a tornado. So northern portions of Iowa County are already under a tornado warning. If you're in western Dane County, say from Verona northward into areas around Mount Horeb, up toward Cross Plains, that storm is heading directly in your direction. No warning in effect now, but if it holds together, you would be next in line for the potential for strong straight-line winds, if not possibly a tornado. So we'll go back to the warning here. This is the area right just to the southwest of Blue River, east of Boscobel, and northeast of Hickory Grove. This is where the hook echo is occurring. We have a tornado on the ground here. We'll look at the wind velocity. There it is, just to the north of Hickory Grove, just to the east of Boscobel, just to the southwest of Blue River, moving almost straight east. We look at the debris signature, seeing debris lofted into the air around Hickory Grove, just to the north of Hickory Grove. So, don't look at this and say, well, Hickory Grove, you're just on the southern part, you're okay. No, anywhere in this area, it's very difficult for the radar to discriminate down to that level to see exactly where that debris is coming from. But there is very likely a tornado on the ground just to the north of Hickory Grove. And we'll go back to the wind velocities here. This is the wind circulation almost due north of Hickory Grove, and it's part of a hook echo on the southern end of a line of thunderstorms that's moving straight eastward as we head through the area of northern portions of Grant County, just to the south of the Wisconsin River. So those are we'll go back to the little wider view here so you can see other areas that are under the warning. And here's what we have right now. These are the current warning, and it looks like, okay, new warnings are coming out, which also include Dane County and parts of Sauk and Columbia County. So here, let's take a look at what we have here. Right now, first, tornado warning in effect for northern portions of Iowa County till 5:45. Farther back to the west, current tornado warning in effect until 5 p.m. for northern Grant County. That storm heading the area right just to the east of Boscobel. Farther to the north, we have a big severe thunderstorm warning. This in effect until 5:30. It includes northwestern Dane County from Mount Horeb northward. Includes the northwestern portion of Iowa County from Lone Rock eastward, right along Highway 14, Spring Green, that area. Farther to the north, the eastern portion of Sauk County that wasn't under the original warning, now under a severe thunderstorm warning, and the western portions of Columbia County, it looks like just as far east as I-39 and I-94. So there's the junction, I-90, 94, 39 around Portage. So that's about as far east as that warning goes. Notice the threat. Tornado possible. That's why this is a different color than the severe thunderstorm warning that we had farther to the west. This is for the potential for strong straight-line winds, and I'm just going to see what the Weather Service says here. 70-mile-an-hour winds and quarter-sized hail from this line of thunderstorms that continues to push through Sauk County into the eastern portions of Richland County, now entering much of Sauk County, and eventually will be pushing into northeastern Iowa, northwestern Dane, and western Columbia County. So this is all part of the same system, but the area that we're really concerned with at most right now for the time being is the northern portions of Grant County, just to the east of Boscobel. We'll zoom back into that area here, and you can see this area under a tornado warning, but we go look at the wind velocity, and there's the velocity now. The circulation just to the northeast of Hickory Grove, almost about 5 miles south of Blue River, continuing off toward the east. That would take it just south of Muscadet, but you're in the warning. I would be in a safe area immediately. And then as that crosses into Iowa County here, there's Highway 80, Highland northward. You need to be in a safe area immediately because this storm is heading in your direction. We still see that very pronounced wind circulation there. Let's look at the debris signature. Probably still seeing debris on the ground. We're waiting for some new updates from the radar, but that is right around Hickory Grove, and that will take it east toward areas south of Muscadet, probably within about the next 15 minutes or so. I would time that out to about 5 p.m. right to the Grant, Iowa County line, if not a little bit before then. Areas around Highway 80, you're probably going to be seeing the storm within about the next 20 minutes. So that puts it a little after 5 p.m., that area under a tornado warning. Let's go back here to the radar display. You can see that still have that very pronounced hook echo. This is, again, we've done tornado warnings in the past. This is a serious situation. You need to be in a safe area if you are in the northern portion of Grant County. We have high confidence that there's a tornado on the ground, that it's causing damage, and that it's maintaining its strong wind circulation as it pushes just to the east and northeast of Hickory Grove now, and eventually will take it just to the south of Muscadet. Looking back at that wind circulation, still seeing, even on the back side of that circulation, we're also seeing some strong straight line winds that may be occurring even to the west of Hickory Grove. So Boscobel, you're probably in the clear now. That storm has moved east of you. Blue River, Muscadet, you need to be in a safe place. Even as far south as Castle Rock, you need to be in a safe area immediately because that's kind of the call it the cone of uncertainty where the storm could go. Sometimes as the storm moves eastward, you start to see additional development farther to the south, which is exactly what happened here. If you remember, we had the original tornado warning up in the central portion of Crawford County. As that storm moved eastward and weakened, the storms built back toward the south and west. The new circulation developed west of Boscobel and now is pushing right around Hickory Grove and areas off toward the east. So there's the latest radar display. Let's go. I'm going to go here. I want to show just a little wider perspective where these storms are right now and where they're headed. Again, severe thunderstorm watch in effect for the Madison metro area, much of southern Wisconsin till 9 p.m. This is future radar, and you can see how those storms continue to expand back toward the south and west. We had rain for much of the morning, areas farther to the north. Farther to the south and west, there wasn't as much rain. That area became much more unstable. The air feeding out of Iowa, very humid, and so that's why the storms on the southern end of the line, if there is a higher tornado potential, that's the area most likely to see the tornado potential be higher. Farther to the north, it's straight line winds, and that's going to be from, say, Richland Center into areas around Reedsburg, and then eventually south and east toward Portage, and eventually areas north of Madison over the next few hours. Take a quick look along that line here. I want to see what the wind velocities are showing here, just on the northern edge of that line too. We've been talking for good reason about the storm in northern Grant County, but these are strong straight line winds. So this is what a wind circulation from a tornado looks like. This is what strong straight line winds look like heading through Loganville and eventually now approaching Lone Rock from the north and west, Prairie du Sac, Merrimack, Sauk City, Baraboo. You're going to be seeing these strong straight line winds probably in about the next 10 to 15 minutes. If we do a quick scan here on the wind velocities, right now we're seeing the potential for winds of about 70 miles per hour. Again, we're still sampling the La Crosse radar, so these winds are moving in the same direction as the radar beam. So we're getting a pretty good, high confidence that that is actually strong straight line winds. To the south, though, there's that wind circulation now just to the east of Hickory Grove, just to the southwest of Muscadet. That wind circulation containing a tornado now moving, and it will move just maybe to the north of Highland. But again, we're starting to see some development farther to the south and west. Let's go back to the radar display here. So as this circulation moves eastward, sometimes it'll weaken and we see new circulations develop farther to the south. So even though Highland is on the far southern edge of that tornado warning for Iowa County, anywhere from Highland north, you need to be prepared for a tornado, and I would be in my safe area right now because that storm continues off toward the east will eventually move into the western portion of Iowa County. Just going to widen this out a little bit more to give everybody a little better perspective. So this is one big thunderstorm cluster. The tornado potential highest on the southern end of the line. The northern end of the line that's starting to push out, this is where the straight line winds of 60 to 70 miles per hour or greater are higher, from Wisconsin Dells southward through the central portion of Sauk County, around Plain, just to the north of Lone Rock, and then eventually over toward Prairie du Sac and Sauk City, Cross Plains, Mazomanie, Spring Green. You're also in this warning. Dane County, north of Mount Horeb right now in the severe thunderstorm warning, but notice the yellow shading. That's when the National Weather Service issues a severe thunderstorm warning like that. They can also use the terminology tornado possible, and that means that right now we have high enough confidence that we're going to see severe thunderstorms there. We don't have high enough confidence to say that this storm will produce a tornado, but it is possible. So we're keeping a very close eye on the situation, and of course that's because we already have tornado warnings farther in effect, or farther to the west in effect right now. So latest warnings now. For Grant County, everything east or west of Boscobel has been taken out of the warning. The warning for Grant County, far northeastern Grant County, that tornado warning in effect until 5 p.m. Notice now, tornado observed. That they're seeing that wind damage on the ground, the debris lofted into the air. Northern portions of Iowa County, that tornado warning in effect until 5:45. So that gives you a little bit of time, but not much more time. Highway 80, you have to be in a safe area now because that storm will be in your area very, very shortly. Looking farther to the southwest, just to see if we have any additional development, we don't. So, this is kind of the one big cluster of storms that we're continuing to watch. And I'm going to zoom back in to the tornado part of the storm, and that is this area right here. And I'm going to look at the wind velocity next. The rotation broadening a little bit, but we're still seeing very strong winds on the front and back side of the storm. And again, with this radar beam running almost perpendicular to the way the storm is moving, it may be underestimating the wind speeds here. But so we have at least very high confidence that there's a wind circulation, and we're still seeing likely debris being lofted into the air now about 3 to 4 miles east-northeast of Hickory Grove. That is heading to just to the south of Muscoda. Right here is the Iowa and Grant County line. So north of Castle Rock, south of Muscoda, anywhere in that area, you need to be in a safe area. And then into Iowa County. If you are along Highway 80, the storm will be in your vicinity probably within about the next 10 to 15 minutes. Let's do a quick storm track on this to give you a good arrival time. Let's just see here. I'm going to grab the right tool. Okay, so there's the very latest update. That's a little better news. It looks like the debris signature is becoming a little less pronounced, but the good thing is you don't see any cities here. That means this is generally a rural area. We're not seeing any major towns in the path of this storm, but this is where it'll be traveling over the next 30 minutes. So about 20 minutes from now, this will be along Highway 80 in the western portion of Iowa County from Highland northward. Farther to the east, Clyde, eventually just to the northwest of Dodgeville. You're going to be next in line for this storm. But again, we're having to see, how strong this tornado signature is. Still seeing a very pronounced hook echo on the southern part of the storm. That's an indication that the winds are wrapping around the precipitation and basically circulating around the center of the storm. So it's not, you look at this, it's not this is the worst part of the storm. The worst part of the storm is actually right down here where there's little or no precipitation falling, because that's where the winds are actually circulating the air around and also lifting it to the north. And now we have a new warning here. This is for, looks like Grant County. They may be extending the warning there. Let's take a look at this. So this is a new tornado, or an update to the tornado warning for Grant County. Confirmed tornado near Muscoda, or southwest of Richland Center, moving to the east. It's actually more south and west of Muscoda, but a public confirmed tornado. So it's possible that there also could be additional funnels, or maybe even a tornado touchdown as far north as Muscoda. Let's go back to the wind velocity here. The most pronounced wind circulation is definitely east of Hickory Grove and south of Muscoda, but there could be a little bit of a wind circulation here, kind of hard to tell. So and that's why these warnings are issued broad enough to not only take into account the actual, for sure storm, but any additional storms that may develop. So that's why we've been saying Muscadet, you still need to be in a safe area. My guess is, and it doesn't say exactly where the report is, it could be south of Muscadet, somewhere in the Muscadet vicinity. So Muscadet, you still need to be in a safe area, but this storm is about ready to move from Grant County into Iowa County. It's just before 5 o'clock, so they may end up having to reissue the warning for northeastern Grant County a little bit. But we'll go back to that debris circulation. Notice we're not seeing those blues in the pixels here, indicating this is probably hail that we're seeing, if we're seeing anything out of the ordinary from the radar. The area down here, just to the east now of Hickory Grove, that's a little more diffuse. It's kind of merging with the southern end of the precipitation area, where it's harder to pick up exactly where the debris might be lifted into the air. But this is an area that we've been watching as it's tracked basically from Boscobel to just north of Hickory Grove, and now is just to the east of Hickory Grove by about 5 miles and continuing toward the east and southeast. Be interesting to see, because I'm going to go back to the radar display here. So let's just take a quick look at this. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put the radar into motion here, because I want you to see, at least on the short-term level right here. So let's do this. So here's the radar display. This is over the last hour, how this whole line of storms, and basically you're losing some of the definition, because right now I'm only looking at one National Weather Service radar from this view. This is from La Crosse. When I look at this, these are all the radars put together, so it kind of broadens out the precipitation. You don't get the distinct features that you get when you're just looking at one radar. But the general movement here has been to the just south of due east. So that's why, again, we have these tornado warnings in effect for northern Grant County, warnings extended eastward into Iowa County. But as time goes on, the thing that we're concerned about is whether or not storms develop farther to the south, even as far south as Montfort and Cobb. And then that could affect areas farther to the east. Right now, the eastern edge of the tornado warning in Iowa County is just north of Dodgeville, right about to Highway 23. But if additional warnings need to be issued downstream, they may have to encompass more of Iowa County and far western portions of Dane County. But let's go back here. I want to go back to the, I'm going to turn the radar loop off here and go back to the, whoops, I want to make sure I turn the right thing off here so we don't lose what we need to. But this is that, the wind circulation right now, just to the east of Hickory Grove, just to the northeast of Castle Rock. It's going to be passing north of Highland, but not by very much, by maybe 2 or 3 miles. This is Highway 80. If you track that wind circulation, we've taken it from Boscobel, just north of Hickory Grove. This is where it is now, and that would take it just to the north of Highland. So again, Highland, you need to be in a safe area immediately, because this storm is heading in your direction. So let's go back to the radar display. Still seeing the pronounced hook echo. And, when we said, and I said the debris field is not as pronounced as it was before, that could just be it's moving over an area where maybe there's cornfields and it's not, tree branches being lofted in the air. It's more corn stalks where it's harder to ascertain, what's actually debris. Here's the very latest update. So now you can see that circulation just to the northeast of Castle Rock. We'll go back to the radar velocity. Still very pronounced wind circulation right here. That's going to take it to the north of Highland. There's Highway 80. And then the debris signature. Again, harder to ascertain because the area most likely producing a tornado is farther to the north. When you start getting to the southern edge of the precipitation area, the radar has a hard time discriminating between raindrops and no raindrops, and that's why it may look like debris is being lifted in the air. But when you see the blue in a field of reds and orange and yellows surrounding it, that's when you have much higher confidence that there's actually debris being lofted. And that could be in this area northeast of Castle Rock, because that lines up pretty well, or just to the south of where the most intense wind circulation is, which is right in there. So again, if you're just joining us, tornado warning in effect for just about ready to well, actually, they may have just extended it now. Let's take a look at this tornado warning. For far northeastern Grant County, they did extend that until 5:15. Again, the circulation still in the far northeastern portion of Grant County. So basically from Hickory Grove eastward, now under a tornado warning until 5:15. Farther to the west, northern portions of Iowa County, you have a tornado warning in effect until 5:30. And we'll track that farther out to the east here. So that includes as far east, here's Highway 23, Dodgeville, just off the map to the south. So basically from Highway 23 westward, including Clyde, south of Lone Rock, Avoca, you're in the warning area here. Highland, just south of the warning area, but I would say if you're in Highland or areas to the north, I would be in a safe area because, again, this storm has started to show tendencies to move just a little bit south of due east, and sometimes we see this kind of merge with the main storm area and then additional development take place farther to the south. So that's something to keep in mind there.
300 people without power in Boscobel right now.
Okay, 300 people without power at Boscobel. Thank you. Austin Kopnitzky just informing me of that. So probably have some damage there to power lines. Again, we had a very strong indication that we're seeing debris lofted into the air. Right now, we're seeing that over the far northeastern portion of Crawford County, south of Muscadet, northeast of Castle Rock. I'll give you just an idea in distance where this is. So from Highland to where this tornado is, about 5 miles northwest of Highland would be the area most likely where a tornado is occurring right now. We'll look at the wind circulation. So there is the Iowa and Grant County line. There's the wind circulation about ready to cross over from Grant County into Iowa County. And then there's the debris signature. Again, hard to tell. This could be a little bit of debris being lofted in the air. And notice this is the southern edge of that tornado warning area. But I would suspect that we're not seeing as much debris lofted in the air. That doesn't mean that we still don't have a tornado on the ground. Waiting to see if we're getting any surface reports from people that they've actually seen the tornado. But this is an area where, again, if you are in northeastern Grant County, the northern portion of Iowa County from Dodgeville and Highland northward, you need to be in a safe area immediately because this storm is heading in your direction. The storm also probably producing some large hail. This is the northeastern portion of Grant County, probably just southwest of Muscadet. This is hail, perhaps up to maybe the size of $50 or a little bit larger, so we can't discount that. We widen out the view, and again, strong thunderstorms, probably producing straight line winds of 60 to 70 miles per hour, moving through Sauk County, ready to move into the western portions of Columbia County, the far northeastern portions of Iowa County, and northwestern Dane County. So basically from Madison on toward the north and west, be prepared for strong straight line winds north and west of Madison. The tornado potential right now highest from northeastern Grant County into the northern portions of Iowa County on the southern end of that line. And if we look at future radar, you can see how that line continues off toward the east, and then additional storms developing out to the west in Iowa could be in here later on tonight. So this could be several waves of strong to severe thunderstorms moving through, because what happened today was we had cooler air with rain during the morning hours and some thunderstorms. Areas across Iowa really heated up, and that kind of set up a warm front boundary that's moving in, and that's what's triggering the greatest potential for severe weather here. So let's go back to our warning here. I'm just going to recenter the map. Tornado warning in effect for the northeastern portion of Iowa County. That's until 5:15. The storm I would say, just starting to cross over the line into Iowa County. This is tornado warning 5:15 for Grant County until 5:45 for northern Iowa County. That circulation now crossing over the county line. Just to the northwest of Highland, there's Highway 80, south of Avoca. But Clyde, you are directly in the path of the storm. And then eventually, as you move toward Highway 23, there's Spring Green. It'll pass probably to the south of Spring Green to the north of Dodgeville. But again, as this storm, it's really maintained that, it's rare that you see a wind circulation last for this long. We're talking about maybe more than a half hour now, and it's the second one that we saw. We saw one in the central portion of Crawford County, and then this storm developed farther to the south, just to the west of Boscobel, and now is moving around the Highland area. We look at the debris field. Again, we're not seeing maybe a little bit here. Again, there's the Iowa and Grant County line, so there could be a little bit of debris being lofted there just northwest of Highland. That's an area that would be right in the vicinity. So yeah, that probably is debris being lofted. And if we look at the wind speeds here, just to give you an idea what kind of circulations we're talking about. So the winds on the west side of the storm, the winds that are moving away from the National Weather Service radar in La Crosse, moving at 48 miles per hour to the south, at least that part of the radar beam. The winds are probably moving from west to east, but the radar beam doesn't translate that into an exact wind speed. If we take a look at the winds on the east side of the storm that are blowing toward the radar, 53 miles. So basically you have about 100 miles per hour of circulation between the western and the eastern portion of the storm. And that's why you're seeing this gate-to-gate shear so high, 108 miles per hour. So that would, it's hard to say, that makes it an EF2 or EF1 tornado or whatever. But at the very least, we probably still have a tornado on the ground just crossing over into Iowa County out of Grant County, just to the northwest of Highland, and we'll continue on toward the east. And so this is what we call a long-lived supercell thunderstorm. This is kind of the main part of the storm. The southern part of the storm is where we have the highest tornado potential, where all the warm, moist air gets sucked in. It kind of creates its own weather environment, and that's why that makes this storm so dangerous as it moves just to the north of Highland and then eventually tracks off toward Clyde and Wisconsin Highway 23. So if you are in that area, you need to take cover immediately. Let's take a look. There's the wind velocity again. Let's look at the debris field, hail. Yeah, this is, like I say, we've been talking about this storm for a while, and I apologize for those people who are missing their golf, but this is a very serious situation, one of the more serious ones that we have. This is not your normal tornado warning. Radar is indicating it, but we're also seeing signs on radar that this tornado has been on the ground. We know that people have lost power already, so we've got some very good signs that this is still a tornado on the ground doing damage as it crosses over into Iowa County. And if we go back to the radar display here and widen this out just a little bit, you can see who's going to be in line for this storm next. So there's Lone Rock, there's Dodgeville. So between Lone Rock and Dodgeville along Highway 23, this area is next in line. The tornado warning extends back to here, but eventually Barneveld, Mount Horeb, and the southern part of this storm moving much more slowly than the northern part, which now has been pushing through Sauk County, and we'll widen this view out just a little bit here. And you can see this is a pretty impressive thing here. I don't have an earpiece, Al. I'll have to get one later. Thank you. But this is what we call a bow echo. This is a very good sign that this storm is probably producing straight line winds from around Wisconsin Dells southward to just west of Portage and just to the north of Prairie du Sac. So the strong winds are probably on the front edge of this precipitation. So where it hasn't started raining yet, that's where the strong straight line winds are probably roaring through right now. Just about the Portage, eventually to Poinnette, Prairie du Sac, Sauk City, and then Black Earth, Cross Plains, Maizomanie. You'll see those winds probably within about the next 10 to 15 minutes, and then down toward Mount Horeb, perhaps over the next maybe 20 to 25 minutes. The tornado threat, and the other thing that's also concerning is as this becomes more of a straight line wind event, that will probably push the southern edge of this thunderstorm area farther to the south, so the tornado threat may start moving more toward the Dodgeville area. Right now, there's no warning in effect there. We're watching, definitely where the tornado warning area is in the northwestern portion of Iowa County, but with time, we may start to see that tornado threat area move down toward Dodgeville. So, for the most part, this is going to be a straight line wind event north of that tornado warning area, and I'm just going to put an earpiece in here so that I can hear them in the control booth. But the tornado threat is going to be highest on the southern edge of this line of storms, and that would basically be the northern portions of Iowa County and into the maybe eventually the central portion of Iowa County down toward Dodgeville. But unfortunately, that means that the tornado threat might be higher into the western portion of Dane County than it would be farther to the north here. So that's something that we have to keep an eye on. Let's go back to this area here and key in on that tornado area, because we're still seeing a very pronounced hook echo. That is right here, just to the northwest of Highland. And I'm going to lock this in here so we can go back and forth on the display. So there's that wind circulation now just about ready to cross over Highway 80 north of Highland. Still very pronounced wind circulation. Debris field, maybe a little bit right here. That would be, maybe at least some light debris being lofted. And the other thing too is, the farther east you go, the farther away from the Doppler radar that the debris can be detected. Because when the radar beam goes straight, the Earth curves way underneath it. So the farther you are away from the center of the radar site, the higher that radar beam is off the ground. So right now it's looking at the storm at about 3,000 feet above the ground. If you're seeing debris lofted 3,000 feet above the ground, that's a pretty significant event there, and possibly a stronger tornado. So again, we're not sure exactly if that's debris being lofted, but it's in an area where we would certainly expect it. And we'll go back to the velocity. So yeah, actually I'm okay for right now. I want to make sure that I'm getting instructions from the control booth. We've got Brad out here on the news set. I want to at least stay on this tornado, because right now we're seeing some very strong indications that the tornado is on the ground. So we'll go back to the actual radar display itself. And again, Highland, this is going to be very close to you. Even though you're technically out of the tornado warning area, you are very close to this, and I would not be surprised if the National Weather Service has to expand that warning a little bit farther to the south, because of the storm starting to move a little bit more south of east, especially as those strong straight line winds up in Sauk County move eastward. That's going to push the southern part of the storm southward a little bit more. So Highland definitely being a safe area, and as far east as Clyde, even about anywhere north of Dodgeville, I would say. That's an area that I would probably be in a safe place, because this storm, if it's not, it'll most likely pass to the north of you, but at the same time, it's going to be a close call for some people. So there's the circulation, there's Highway 80, so it's just crossing over there. Let's do a quick storm track on this to give you an idea of where the storm will be heading over the next half hour. There we go. This is at about 30 miles per hour. That would take the storm right toward Governor's Dodge State Park by about 5:45, and that's at the end of the tornado warning time period. So this is, again, this cone shows about where that storm is going to go over the next half hour. So fortunately, right now, it's over a generally rural area, not a lot of major towns. It would take it south of Clyde and north of Dodgeville, but there's Highway 23, and again, Governor Dodge State Park is right along Highway 23 in this area. If you have friends there, call them. This storm is heading in their direction. They've got probably about 20 minutes to get to a safe area. And of course, if you're in the state park, there's not a lot of safe areas there. So if they have time, maybe they can drive out, and I would probably drive to the south. That would be the best way to go along Highway 23 if you're trying to get out of the way of this storm. But again, that's, within about the next 25 minutes or so, that's how far eastward the storm is going to be. So before then, it's mainly over rural areas between Highway 80 and Highway 130 that are most at risk from this possible tornado. We'll go back to the debris signature. Not seeing nearly as much there. Notice we're not seeing those blues in there again. So it might be that the storm is either not on the ground or near the ground. It also could be that the debris is still being lofted, but just not being detected by the radar. So we're continuing to watch that as a possibility. Let's go back to the main radar display here. The winds, the hook echo is not quite as pronounced right now, just to the north of Highland, but that doesn't mean that the storm isn't producing a significant tornado. So the tornado warning area for Iowa County from Highway 23 westward, severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible, meaning that the storm, these areas are under severe thunderstorm warnings, but they need to be prepared for a possible tornado to eventually develop, and that would include this large area here, and that includes basically south of Wisconsin Dells, as far east as Portage, as far east as Wanakee, as far south as Mount Horeb, and as far west as Lone Rock. So again, the southern part of this area, that's where the tornado threat is highest. The wind damage potential, certainly very high, approaching Portage and Poinnette from the west. We could be looking at some straight line winds there, and we'll look at the wind velocities here just to give you a little better idea of where the strongest winds might be. Yeah, right here we're seeing some very strong straight line winds where that line of thunderstorms is bowing out. Those strong winds will probably reach you before the rain does. So if it's not raining, you're actually in the danger zone. Once the rain starts, the wind damage potential goes down a little bit, but not by much. Here's that wind circulation now in the western portion of Iowa County, right around Highland. So two areas that we're watching: the strong straight line winds moving through Sauk County, eventually into western and Columbia County and northwestern Dane County, and then we have that tornado situation in Iowa County. Let's go back here to the radar display. So this area, we'll look at the warnings. It looks like we have additional warnings now coming out. Let's widen this out a little bit more because it looks like these warnings will also include areas farther to the north. So right now, we have a new severe thunderstorm warning. This is being issued for pretty much the rest of Columbia County into northeastern portions of Sauk County and parts of Marquette and Green Lake County until 6:15. Again, this is in advance of that line of storms, and notice the threat, tornado possible. So the wind, and I'm just looking here, 60-mile-per-hour winds, radar indicated. That's what we've been seeing from this bow echo right here. So wind damage potential pretty high as you move through Portage, Poinnette, and then eventually about as far east as Columbus down here along Highway 151, and then areas north of DeForest. So this is the new severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 6:15. Farther to the south and west, we have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 5:30, and that includes much of Sauk County, northwestern Dane County, northeastern Iowa County, and again, from the same line of thunderstorms, also a tornado possible threat. So take be prepared to move to your tornado safe spot quickly if a tornado does develop along that line. And I probably should mention this again because we went through it about a week and a half ago on Wednesday, or however long ago it was. But that line of storms, a lot of times you can get a quick spin up in that line of storms and produce a tornado for maybe 2 or 3 minutes. And you can see these pockets of enhanced damage either from strong straight line winds or from a tornado as a line of storms comes through. And there may not be time to issue a warning. We saw that over western Dane County. We had 4 confirmed tornadoes, very short paths, about 3 to 4 miles, winds about 90 miles an hour, but basically from Cross Plains all the way to Verona along that line of storms. And that could be the same situation here from the Dells south and east through the Sauk City, Prairie du Sac area, and now to around Lone Rock. But that'll be heading down toward Mount Horeb, Verona, eventually toward DeForest, Madison, Arlington over the next maybe half hour or so. And then the tornado threat mainly on the southern end of this line of storms, and that is into Iowa County. So let's go back to that right now to see how the situation in Iowa County has developed, because that's that same cell that has moved across the northern portion of Grant County, most likely producing a tornado through much of that path. And so we're not seeing as pronounced of a hook echo right now. The wind velocities still there, now northeast of Highland, east of Highway 80, just about maybe 5 to 6 miles west-southwest of Clyde. So Clyde, you need to be in your safe area along Highway 130 and as far east as Highway 23. That includes Governor's Dodge State Park, anywhere from Spring Green and Lone Rock southward. You need to be in your tornado safe area. The areas west of Iowa County into Grant County, looks like things are settling down there. Debris signature, again, we're not seeing that pronounced debris signature that we were seeing as the storm moved through Grant County. But again, that doesn't mean that there's not damage being produced. It just means the radar may not be detecting it. But the wind circulation, not quite. I mean, it's pronounced. I mean, this is more than we normally see, even for a normal tornado warning on a tornado warning produced storm. But we're seeing a definite wind circulation there. It's just a little bit broader and not quite as intense as what we saw, say, a half hour ago as the storm was moving around Boscobel and back through areas east of Boscobel. But the storm still may very well be producing a tornado between Highland and Clyde, and then eventually we'll head toward Governor's Dodge State Park and probably between Spring Green and Dodgeville over the next 20 minutes. We'll go back to the radar display here, and you can see that wind circulation right here. Heavy rain, some hail, probably maybe as large as ping pong sized hail. I don't want to discount that. As far north as Lone Rock and up into the Clyde area. This area is probably more likely seeing some large hail that's going to be tracking eastward on the northern part of the storm. As the storm sucks up the air from the south and lifts it into the tornado, it also lifts the raindrops and causes them to freeze in the top part of the storm. And so when you have a tornado on the south part of the storm, the area of heavy rain and hail is likely north and northeast of the center of circulation in these supercell thunderstorms, which this one definitely is. Let's go back, and I'm going to, there's the wind circulation, there's the debris signature, there's the hail, and you can see, and I'll just take that off there because that was an old query here, but what we're looking at is, and this is over the last 2 hours. So this area in yellow may have seen hail perhaps up to the size of quarters or even larger, maybe $half size, just to the north of Highland, just north of where that tornado is occurring, and then smaller hail as far north as Muscadet and as far south as Highland. If we do I'm just going to do a quick hail zone here. This is a hail, I'm going to see if I can call up here, is a hail prediction over the next, say, 30 minutes to where hail is most likely going to occur. So this is, over the, so that's where the hail is now. And let's go to hail zone here because I want to show where that large hail. So even if you're north of the path of the tornado, let's see, there's hail zone. So again, large hail probably tracking toward Clyde, probably as far north as Lone Rock, and then eventually south of Spring Green. So that's where this is what you would expect in a very typical tornado situation. The potential there for large hail as well as damaging straight line winds, and there's still that circulation, a little broader, a little more diffuse, not seeing as pronounced of a hook echo. But this area between Highland and Clyde right now is where the tornado likely is, and is continuing to track off eastward toward Highway 130. And then eventually, as it moves eastward, Dodgeville is just off the map to the south. We'll have to see how this is going. I'm just going to check and see if the National Weather Service has any additional information on this warning. Yeah, nothing new since about 4:55, I think was their last update. So we're waiting to see if we have any more confirmation of damage. In fact, I'm going to do one thing here just to see if we have any storm reports that have come in. I'm just going to widen this out a bit because what I want to see is whether or not we have gotten any damage reports. And it's possible that we start to see them coming in. And let me see if I can find that here. I'm just going to widen this out a bit. What I want to do is I want to see whether or not we've had damage reports. And I can do that just very quickly by looking at the damage reports that come in from the National Weather Service. So this is over the last 6 hours. So here are reports. So tornado, high wind report, wind damage, and hail reports. So if we just check this really quickly, so we'll click on the tornado symbol here. So here, Blue River reported a tornado on the ground south of Blue River, near County Highway T at 4:50. So again, that was as that storm went east of Boscobel, and we had very high confidence that that's exactly what we were seeing, that there was a tornado on the ground. So the storm reports are just starting to come in, so that gives us even more confidence that these storms are probably still producing tornadoes or at the very least strong straight line winds. So what I'm going to do here is go back to our velocity display. There's the wind circulation between Highland and Clyde approaching Highway 130. Go back to the radar display. Hail most likely occurring up by Clyde, south of Lone Rock, perhaps up to the size of quarters or even a bit larger. This area in red under a tornado warning, and we'll get the time on this again. I believe it's until 5:30 for the northern portion of Iowa, 5:45 for the northern portion of Iowa County. So anywhere in that red box area here, you need to be in a safe area because this is an observed tornado, or at least it was at one point, now just to the southwest of Clyde, and then eventually we'll take it toward Governor's Dodge State Park. And we'll go back to the wind velocities here. Now starting to see an uptick in the strong winds on the east side of the storm. And so the storm may be starting to spiral up a little bit as it passes just about 5 miles east-northeast of Highland and about maybe 5 miles southwest of Clyde. So this storm may start to be ramping up a little bit. Let's see if we're seeing any debris. Not seeing any debris yet. Eventually, as the storm moves eastward, we'll get a little better indication as it's being detected by the National Weather Service Doppler radar in Sullivan, Wisconsin. Right now, we have the radar set for information from the radar source that's closest to where the storm is that we're watching. So that allows us to get the best possible view and not have it kind of muddled out there. So,
new tornado warning in eastern Columbia County.
Okay, new tornado warning. Boy, they just keep coming in here. So let's go back here. And this is actually up in Columbia County. And that would be right up here. So eastern Columbia County, severe thunderstorms capable of producing tornadoes and extensive straight-line wind damage located near Poinet, moving east at 40 miles per hour. They don't have an estimated wind speed here, but this is an area that we were talking about before. Just like I was explaining, you know, what happened on Wednesday night, that when you have a situation like this, where you have a line of thunderstorms kind of bowing out, the wind damage potential becomes higher, and it's more likely that you'll see these brief spin-ups that occur within the line here. So let's just take a look at the winds to see whether or not we're even seeing any wind circulations there. Right now, primarily, this is just strong straight-line winds. When you see the same colors or greens and brighter shades of greens, these are basically straight-line winds. There's Lake Wisconsin, there's Portage, there's Poinet. So the strong winds are most likely being felt right on the front edge of that precipitation area. So through the Portage and Poinet area, Leeds, eastward toward Doylestown, you're probably going to be seeing these strong straight-line winds within about the next maybe 15 to 20 minutes. These storms are moving eastward pretty rapidly at about 40 miles per hour. In fact, let's take a look here. Obviously not seeing any wind damage being lofted there. I'm going to put the radar into motion just so you can get a better idea. So you can see these storms racing eastward. Notice how the storms on the southern edge where the tornado warning is in northern Iowa County are kind of hanging back. We're also seeing a little more development starting to take place back into Iowa and the western eventually into far southwestern Wisconsin. So sometimes these thunderstorms continue back and build back toward the southwest. The tornado potential is highest on the southern end of the line of storms. Farther to the north, that's where we have the strong straight-line wind potential, and so that's the area up into Sauk and Columbia County, northwestern Dane County. You should be seeing strong straight-line winds in the area around Cross Plains, Mazomanie, and then Mount Horeb. You're pretty much in line for this, and then eventually down toward Verona, Fitchburg. You probably will be seeing straight-line winds 50 to 60, maybe 70 miles an hour over the next 10 to 15 minutes, so be prepared for that. Going to go back to our initial position here. So this is that tornado warning that was issued for Columbia County, and that is for mainly central and northeastern Columbia County, from Portage, Poinet eastward to areas just north of Columbus and all the way up to the Marquette County line. Includes Cambria, Friesland, Randolph. You are in this tornado warning area. So radar indicated, again, because of the strong straight-line winds, could be seeing some wind gusts maybe higher than 70 or 80 miles an hour at times, and then also some brief tornado spin-ups along that line of storms. So you need to be in a safe area. Even if it's not a tornado and it's straight-line winds, that's not going to be any consolation if your house gets hit by a weak tornado of 90-mile-an-hour winds or straight-line winds of 90 miles per hour. It's the same impact that you have there. And then, so we have those two tornado warnings. That's for Columbia County until 6:15, and then we have the northern portion of Iowa County, and actually, let's see, it looks like that storm, we'll have to see whether or not that warning needs to be reissued, because we're getting it's the warning in effect until 5:45. We're at 5:30 right now, but this tornado warning here for the northern portion of Iowa County in effect until 5:45. Still waiting to see some new information on that. Haven't seen anything yet, but again, this is a pretty serious situation. If you are right along Highway 130 and near Highway 23, you need to be in a safe area because that tornado is approaching from the west. I'd like to turn it over to Brad here for just a minute or two. I need to set up something on the computer. If we could do that, Brad, do you have any additional information? Again, I'm going to come right back to this because we still most likely have a tornado on the ground.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Gary. And we're going to be tracking this the entire way as long as these warnings are still in effect. I mean, we've been seeing the power outages already coming in, and it's been pretty crazy seeing, you know, the back and forth even within our own newsroom, even though it is the weekend. But we're going to just keep you updated with all the latest here, and I think we're going to actually head to a break potentially here. So. Oh.
No, let's tell you what. If we don't have any additional information, let's just come back here. I can handle it from here. I'm just maybe if somebody can talk to Austin, if he can find out any additional information on these warnings, you can just check if you can see some updates on the tornado situation. If we had any confirmed stuff, let's do that. So yeah, he's doing that. I'm also going to just check one other thing here very quickly because I think I've got my computer set up. What I want to do is I want to see National Weather Service information here, and this is from La Crosse office. I'm just trying to see their. Yeah, we're not seeing. I'm not getting a lot of straight. I'm not getting any current information, at least as far as the tornado situation, whether or not, you know, what kind of damage we're seeing, what spotters are seeing out in the field. But this tornado warning for Iowa County, kind of interesting because it's now, Al, if we can go back to the camera 4 here, because we have the circulation starting to shift a little farther to the south. This is Clyde. Here's Highway 130. We were watching the circulation kind of going in this direction. Now it's starting to build farther to the south. And so areas around Pleasant Ridge and eventually down toward Ridgeway and Barneveld, you might be next in line for this storm. So we're going to have to see whether or not we continue to see that trend continue, because what may be happening is as the circulation passes south of Clyde now, it may start to build farther toward the south. Pleasant Ridge, you are kind of in the path of this storm. You might, let's see if we're even in, and it looks like we might have another warning coming out here too. So that might be, let's go back and see if we, yeah, this is, okay, well, looks like a new tornado warning here. Let's check this out. This is a tornado warning now for most of Iowa County. So let's, I'm even going to widen this out a little bit further. And for exactly the reasons I've just been talking about, because of the fact that the storm is starting to build farther toward the south and east, the tornado warning in effect till 5:45 has now been expanded and extends through much of the northern portion of Iowa County. That now includes Dodgeville. It now includes Barneveld, Ridgeway, as far east as the Iowa-Dane County line. And again, just to give you a heads up downstream, Mount Horeb, Verona, Mount Vernon, you will be next in line for the storm as it continues off toward the east and southeast. So if you are in the southwestern portion of Dane County, you may want to start being prepared for a possible tornado. You're not in a warning yet. It remains to be seen how well the storm holds together, but it's for the last hour. I mean, it has really tracked and stayed very strong with a well-defined wind circulation. Let's go look at that wind circulation. So it's right here. So now we've switched. We're close enough to the Sullivan radar, so we're looking at the radar beam coming in from the east, and it is still picking up that wind circulation. This is toward the edge of its coverage area. So we're looking at about maybe 5,000 to 6,000 feet off the ground, but we're seeing a very well-defined wind circulation here now between Highland and Dodgeville. So Dodgeville, you are now in the threat area. I would say anywhere along Highway 18151 east of Dodgeville, Barneveld, Ridgeway, get to your safe area immediately because this storm is tracking off toward you. And if we did I'm going to do a quick path here on this, just to give you an idea where the storm may be tracking over the next half hour or so at about 35 miles an hour, 37 miles per hour. That takes it to Ridgeway by about 5:52, Barneveld by about 5:59, and Blue Mounds by about 6:04. So again, this is the storm is passing near or just south of Governor Dodge State Park right now, crossing over Highway 23, and now as it heads toward 18151, and then moves toward the Barneveld and eventually the Mount Horeb area, you are next in line for this storm.
We have a damage report out of Grant County.
Okay, Blue River, damage, barns down, some damage south of Blue River. Thank you very much, Austin Kopnitsky. Possible tornado damage. That's from the same storm as it passed near Blue River, way back over here. And you can see the circulation is still very well developed. And that was, probably about just before 5 o'clock. Now we're, about 35, 40 minutes later, and this wind circulation, possible tornado, maybe more likely tornado, continues through the northern portion of Iowa County, just to the east of Highland and just to the west and northwest of Dodgeville. So this is Dodgeville right down here where Highway 18 splits off from 151. So this looks like the greater tornado threat area is going to be in the southern portion of this warning area. And
This is the
something
latest on the Iowa County tornado warning as well.
Okay. So Central Iowa County tornado warning. This is the very latest here. Tornado, $50 sized hail. So north of the path of the tornado, up closer to Highway 60, Highway 14, you could be looking at large hail into the area around Arena and Lone Rock, that area. Most likely going to be seeing some large hail, perhaps up to $50 sized hail. And the tornado threat continues on the southern portion of that line. And then we'll go back to the radar display system. And again, not only do we have that tornado warning, but we have another tornado warning. And that is in effect until 6:15, I believe. And that is for the eastern portion of Columbia County. And that is for strong straight line winds, as well as the possibility for embedded tornadoes that will be moving now into the central portion of Columbia County, east of Portage and Poinet, eventually toward Cambria, Friesland, north of Columbus. So this area here, next in line for at least very strong straight line winds. I would estimate them probably be in the 60 to 70 mile per hour range, and maybe some higher straight line winds, as well as a possible tornado. And the other thing that's kind of interesting too, and this is why we're concerned about such a large area, is what we're seeing, and this is kind of the whole complex of thunderstorms. So the southern part of the storm area, this is where the tornado threat is highest, and that's where we've been seeing the tornado threat. Then we have it transitioning into a strong straight line wind along this band of thunderstorms. And notice how the north part's starting to curl back, kind of into a comma head. This can also spin up tornadoes as well. So that's why that tornado warning has been issued for the eastern portion of Columbia County, because sometimes you get these spin-ups on the northern edge of the line of storms. Remember back to 2013 when we had the Platteville and Verona tornadoes. The Platteville storm was the southern part or in the center part of the line. They had a very brief tornado that lasted about 3 or 4 minutes, hit the UW Platteville campus with an EF2 tornado. The northern part of that line of storms curled around and passed through Verona and spawned an EF3 tornado that hit the northern portion of Verona. So this is a very, very similar situation. And so let's go back. I just want to check that tornado warning area in Iowa County, because that's right now that seems to be the area that's of most concern because of the fact that we've had that very persistent wind circulation. Again, a little broader, but now this may be transitioning, at least on the southern part of the storm, into a more straight line wind event as we head down toward Dodgeville. So a lot of times what happens is the circulation kind of gets wrapped up and the precipitation wraps around it. You start to see some very strong outflow on the southern part of the storm. The tornado weakens, and then you start transitioning more into a straight line wind event down towards Dodgeville. So again, from Dodgeville eastward to Barneveld, Ridgeway, even as far east as Mount Horeb, be in your safe shelter area immediately. If you're not going to get affected by the tornado, you may very well be affected by a band of strong straight line winds that might be in the 60 to 70 mile per hour range. And we'll just take a look at those winds just to the northwest of Dodgeville. And look at the wind velocities here, 49 miles an hour, but this is at about maybe 5,000 to 6,000 feet above the ground. Again, we're now looking at the Sullivan radar way off to the east. So that radar beam goes straight, the Earth curves away underneath it. That radar beam is about 5,000 feet off the ground, and we're still seeing winds of about 50 miles per hour. We're also seeing some very strong shear between the southern part of the storm and the northern portion of the storm, where the winds are blowing in the opposite direction. So these are winds that are blowing in this direction at about 30 miles per hour, this direction about 50 miles per hour, again, about 5,000 feet off the ground. So the circulation a little bit broader here, but that's also because the radar beam is off the ground. So we may not see, as clearly down near the ground, and that would probably limit the debris field from also being seen as well. So again, we can't go as much by this as we did earlier to see debris being lofted in the air. There very well could be debris occurring. We just can't see it because of the radar beam not being able to see that close to the ground, that far away from the radar. But definitely there's that wind circulation there. So that's why this tornado warning has been expanded to the east and southeast and now covers northern portions of Iowa and northern eastern portions of Iowa County, including Dodgeville, including Ridgway, Barneveld, and almost out to Mount Horeb, just to the east into the far western portions of Dane County. But even there, I would say if you are from Mount Horeb over toward Verona, this storm is heading in your direction. You've got some time. Start putting your safe area together. Get your flashlights, your battery-operated radio, put that in your safe area so if a warning is issued, you don't have to waste time looking for that. You've got a little bit of lead time. If you are in the eastern portion of Iowa County, you need to be in your safe area right now. And if you're anywhere near Dodgeville and along Highway 23, that's where the storm is right now. So you definitely need to be in a safe area because that storm is rolling on through, but will continue now just near Ridgway, which is just to the just to the east of Dodgeville along Highway 151. So Ridgway is going to be next in the path of the storm. And if we did a quick storm track here, just to give you an idea of where this storm is tracking. Again, this is at about, say, 35 miles an hour. And so Ridgway, 553, we're at about 544 right now. That gives you about maybe 9 minutes of lead time. Barneveld, about 6 o'clock. Blue Mounds, about 6:06. So this is an area, again, where you need to be in a safe area right now. Those areas are in the tornado warning, but even farther to the east, and this is the Dane and Iowa County line, there's the town of Perry, there's Mount Horeb, Mount Vernon is over here. The storm is heading directly in that direction. So be prepared to go to your safe area if you need to. And I'm going to look at the hail. Again, we're seeing the potential north of the tornado warning area. So basically along Highway 14, the potential for large hail up to the size of, say, $50. And then farther to the north, this is where that strong straight line wind threat is highest through portions of Columbia counties. Those storms surge out toward the east, and this area under a tornado warning for strong straight line winds and possibly embedded tornadoes. And that extends, that's until 6:15. But this whole area outside of the tornado warning area is also under severe thunderstorm warnings for possible, with the possibility that these storms could produce a tornado. In fact, let's go to I'm just going to widen this out a bit so you can see all the warnings. And it looks like a new warning has now been issued for northeastern portions of Dane County. Let's take a look at that. And that would be just north and east of Madison. Severe thunderstorm warning till 6:30. Again, the tornado possible tag in there. So be prepared. Even in these severe thunderstorm warning areas, there's the possibility that they may need to be upgraded to a tornado warning eventually as the storms push eastward. Right now, the wind damage potential is maybe a little bit less in the northwestern portion of Dane County because the northern portion of the line is surging out. The southern portion of the line is sagging southward a little bit, so the tornado threat highest where the tornado warning is here in Iowa County. And then eastward, the wind damage potential is higher, but also an outside threat of a tornado. That's why a tornado warning in effect for Columbia County. But then we have these severe thunderstorm warnings that include areas just north and northeast of Madison, and then for much of Columbia County into Marquette and Green Lake County. So again, I apologize that you're missing golf, but this is a very serious situation. We have had confirmed tornado damage out of this storm for the last hour as it's pushed from the northern portion of Grant County and now is pushing into the northern portion of Iowa County, right around just north of the city of Dodgeville, and that might take it into a little more populated area. So let's go back to that warning here, and we'll pop this up here just to give you a good idea of where that circulation is. So we're not seeing as pronounced of a hook echo, but this is the area probably just north of Dodgeville, just east now of Highway 23. There's the wind circulation. There's Dodgeville, about maybe 3 miles north of Dodgeville. This is where the circulation is, right at the intersection of Highway 130 and Highway 23. But then that puts Ridgway in the path of the storm. Barneveld, you're over here. Mount Horeb, a little bit farther out to the east. Mount Horeb, not in the warning area. The tornado warning officially ends at the Dane County line. But as this circulation pushes on toward the east, the western portion of Dane County, you may be next in line for this severe thunderstorm and possible tornado. Actually, probably more likely a tornado. Again, we're not seeing the debris field, but that's just probably more the fact that we're farther away from the radar right now and not able to see that as well as we could before. Hail zone, still probably producing large hail just to the north of the path of the tornado, which would be down here. So the potential for hail, quarter or golf ball sized or higher, is continuing through the far northern portion of Iowa County, and that will eventually be affecting northwestern Dane County, say around Mazomanie and Cross Plains. That area right along Highway 14 could be looking at the potential for some large hail as this storm, this whole line of storms swings off toward the east, but the southern portion of the line continues to sag a little bit further to the south. And if we look at future radar, you can see how the line of storms continues off toward the east pretty rapidly. That's by about 9 or just before 9 o'clock, brings it into the Milwaukee area. But notice out to the west, additional thunderstorms. There might be another round of severe thunderstorms that could be coming in from Iowa, and that would be later on this evening. So, the atmosphere has a chance to reload a little bit, and then all of a sudden, boom, we have some more severe weather. So, latest warning here, let's take you through the warnings that we have currently in effect. Tornado warning for northern and eastern portions of Iowa County, that until 6:30. Right now, they've dropped it back to a radar-indicated tornado. So again, we're seeing that wind circulation. We're just not getting confirmation either from spotter reports or from debris being lofted in the air that it actually is on the ground. But because of the fact that it's so far from the radar, that may be a reason why we're not seeing the debris lofted in the air. And spotter reports, it's a rural area. We're not, you don't have spotters, weather spotters always out in the middle of nowhere that can give you real-time reports of what's going on. But we definitely have been seeing that circulation, not quite as intense as we did earlier, but now just to the northeast of Dodgeville and just, I would say, about 5 miles northwest of Ridgway. And then we continue to see that cell move to just south of due east. So that would take it just north of Ridgway and then eventually over toward Barneveld. Now farther to the north, we also have another tornado warning. And this warning is in effect for the eastern and northeastern portions of Columbia County. That warning in effect until 6:15. And that is for a line of severe thunderstorms producing straight line winds of perhaps 70 miles per hour or greater, and the possibility for embedded tornadoes along that line. You can see how quickly that line has passed. It's already gone past the area around Portage and Poinnette, now passing Partyville and Rio, and now heading toward Cambria, Friesland, and just to the north of Fall River. So once the line of storms has passed you, the severe weather threat has gone down quite a bit over the western portion of Columbia County, but the eastern portion of Columbia County, you need to be in a safe area. So anywhere from Cambria, Friesland, southward to Fall River, you need to be in a safe area for at least strong straight line winds of 70 miles per hour or greater, and the possibility that a brief tornado could spin up, maybe only last for a couple of minutes, but produce some embedded pockets of more severe damage along that line of storms as it continues off and to the east. And then a wider perspective shows that we have other severe thunderstorm warnings, and this would be mainly areas north of Madison. Severe thunderstorm warning until 6:15, this is for the rest of Columbia County outside the tornado warning area, as well as southern portions of Marquette and Green Lake counties and the far eastern portions of Sauk County. Yeah, it looks like Sauk County has been cleared out of that warning, so it's just the area outside the tornado warning. But even the western portion of this area, I think the severe weather threat is really ramped down. So I would say anywhere from say I-39 and US 51 eastward, just to be on the safe side, should be in a safe area. But I think west of US 51 and I-39, the threat has really started to come down, and eventually we can say maybe west of Highway 23 that heads northward through that area. That might be an area that we kind of can give a little bit more of an all clear. And then farther to the south, we do have a severe thunderstorm warning for the northeastern portion of Dane County, as well as the southern portion of Columbia County. That warning in effect until 6:30. And both of these warnings, even though there's severe thunderstorm warnings, notice the wording, tornado possible. So tornadoes could develop pretty quickly in this line of thunderstorms as they move in from the west and northwest. So be prepared that you might need to move to a place of safety very quickly if a tornado develops, or if I would say as the line of storms approach, go into your safe area. Be there for a few minutes, at least until the storms pass. Once they pass, you can probably come out, but you're better safe than wait till the last minute and then wait for the warning to come out. And sometimes in a situation like this, it's just very difficult to issue a tornado warning for something that only shows up very quickly, on maybe one scan of the radar, and then it's gone. And the tornado lasts 2 or 3 minutes. Sometimes it's just impossible to give a warning out for something like that. Tornadoes like the one in Iowa County, that's a different story. They're much easier to track because we can see that pronounced wind circulation. The wind continues and has been continuing in a circular manner for pretty much the last hour, at least, from far southern portions of Crawford County and northern Grant County near Boscobel. It's tracked across Grant County, now north of Highland, and now is just northeast of Dodgeville. The circulation becoming a little bit more diffuse. That's good news. Keep your fingers crossed. But again, this area is under a tornado warning. Barneveld, Ridgeway, you are under a tornado warning. And then the western portion of Dane County, not under any warnings yet, but these storms are tracking in your direction. Let's go back here. Just want to show you a little wider radar view here again. Past that. Yeah, there we go. There's future. Let's go back to this. So this is that whole area of severe thunderstorms extending from southern portions of Marquette and Green Lake counties, central portion of Columbia County, northwestern Dane County, and now into the northern portion of Iowa County. So this is, we're seeing severe weather potential all along that line of thunderstorms. And some of these storms are producing the tornadoes on the southern end and possible tornadoes on the northern end, along with strong straight line wind damage, and then also some very large hail, perhaps up to the size of $half or even a little bit larger, especially in the northern portion of Iowa County and eventually into the northwestern portion of Dane County. And then future radar shows those storms just continuing off toward the south and east. So the rest of Dane County, Jefferson and Dodge counties, Rock County, northern portions of Greene County, you may see these storms eventually, and then an additional round of thunderstorms perhaps later on this evening into the early overnight periods. Let's go back to the tornado warning here. We're just waiting to see if we get any additional information from the National Weather Service. So they have the latest update that was as of about 9 minutes ago. Severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado near Dodgeville, moving east at 20 miles an hour, and tornado and $half sized hail. So the $half sized hail on the northern portion of this area, but the tornado threat now northeast of Dodgeville, right around Ridgeway probably, and then traveling right along Highway 18-151 through Ridgeway, Barneveld. You should be in a safe area. That storm heading in your direction. This is we continue to just watch this pronounced circulation, a little bit broader now, not quite as intense, but still enough of a confidence that there's a tornado there, that the tornado warning is in effect for the northern portions of Iowa County. So we'll keep an eye on that. Let's see, Austin Kopnitsky here. New severe thunderstorm warning. This is for Juneau County, southwestern Juneau County up to the north. And let's go back to that. It looks like we have additional storms.
And Julian's on his way in as well, so
okay.
I'm here for backup. soon.
So yeah, we've got other meteorologists coming in as we speak. So yeah, this is just an isolated cell right around Hillsborough that might affect the southern portion of Juneau County, right around Elroy and west of Mauston. The potential here is for quarter-sized hail. That's probably a relatively weakening storm, but it is strong enough that they have issued a severe thunderstorm warning on it. Right now, the more concerned area is going to be right along this line of storms, and you can see even the northern portion of the line of storms as it's passed east of Partyville. It's starting to develop this comma head here, an indication that the storm could spin up some brief tornadoes as it pushes into the eastern portion of Columbia County. Looks like the warning has been cut back now to just the far northeastern portion of Columbia County, tornado warning there, and then the other tornado warning for Iowa County for that pronounced wind circulation and tornado that moved from northern Grant County through the northern portion of Iowa County. In between, Madison is in between with this line of storms coming in from the north and west, and so we should be seeing that pretty quickly. In fact, let me just see really quickly if I can call up our tower cam here just to see what we're looking at. So this is the view from our tower cam looking out toward the west, and the storms are still quite a distance away, but you can see the darkening of the skies to the north and west. No rain here in the Madison area right now, but again, these storms are heading in our direction, and this is part of that same line of storms that is just to the anywhere from northern portions of Iowa County, where the tornado threat is a little bit higher, into far northwestern Dane County, and then through mainly now eastern portions of Columbia County. You can see just how quickly that line of storms is. I'm going to just stop this here for a second, and I'm going to show you the close radar loop just to give you an idea as to how quickly those storms are moving. Let me just set the map up here because these storms are booking along, and I think Dodge County is probably going to be in line for these storms next. So Beaver Dam, Columbus, that area, be prepared for some strong straight line winds within maybe the next half hour, 15 minutes to half hour. And if I put the radar into motion here, look at how fast those storms are moving. That's 1 hour. So these storms have moved from the Dells to Cambria in about 1 hour. So that's moving at about maybe 60 miles an hour. And notice these little curls here in the line. That means the potential is there that these storms could produce a tornado very quickly. That's why the tornado warning remains in effect for the eastern portion of Columbia County until 6:15. Severe thunderstorm warnings are in effect around that and also to the southwest into much of Dane County. And then here's the storm tracking through Iowa County and into northwestern Dane County. The storm itself moving eastward about 30 to 35 miles per hour. Haven't seen too much development farther to the south and west. So that the warning right now, just south of Highway 151, the tornado warning for Iowa County. But Dane County, you're next in line for this area of storms. And right now, we're approaching 6 o'clock. We continue to watch the tornado producing storm in Iowa County head toward the western portion of Dane County. So let's go back here. We'll zoom in on that area again, just to see, because that warning, let's see where that warning, I believe the expiration time is 6:30. So there's the tornado warning for Iowa County in effect until 6:30. The movement of this storm now a little bit more south of due east. So if we do a storm track on this, that would take over the next, say, doing it about 30 miles per hour. You can see that takes it into Mount Horeb by about 6:24. So even though western Dane County not in the tornado warning area, this is the storm, and we're starting to see maybe a little bit more of a hook echo starting to develop here. I'm going to clear this off and save this so I can go back. Let's go look at that wind velocity here. So the wind velocity, a little bit more, that's good news. We're seeing that wind velocity signature, the circulation, start to weaken a little bit. So that's an indication that maybe we're seeing a little bit less of a tornado threat, although farther to the south, you can start to see these brighter colors showing up here, and those winds are moving in the same direction as the radar. So we have if you subtract out the speed of the storm, at least, which is maybe 25 to 30 miles per hour, we're probably still looking at straight line winds somewhere around maybe 40 to 50 miles per hour on the southern portion of that storm, south of Highway 18 151. So There's the town of Perry. Mount Vernon is just to the south and east of Mount Horeb. So that's where this storm is heading right now. But again, we're continuing to see the strong the winds at least, and the potential for a little bit of a hook echo starting to occur here. So maybe we have something spinning up just to the west of Barneveld. So that bears some watching here, because we're not seeing any debris being lofted right now, but we could be seeing circulation here, and maybe an additional one trying to form just south and west, just to the east of Dodgeville. Really tough to pick out at this point, but because of the fact that the storm is moving eastward but developing a little bit more toward the south, sometimes the tornado threat shifts a little bit farther south than where if you just track the possible tornado or tornadic circulation in a straight line, you sometimes will see a higher threat farther to the south, and that's kind of what we're starting to see here. So let's go back and analyze this again, because I want to take a look at who else could eventually be in the line for this storm. So this is a little further to the west. Here's the tornado warning area for Iowa County. It looks like we might have just gotten an update from the National Weather Service. Let's just see if they have any new information here. I want to see if what they're saying. Right now, thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado near Dodgeville. That is moving east at 20 miles an hour. So that's what we've been watching here. It's actually more north and east of Dodgeville. I would say probably closer to Ridgeway. But the tornado and quarter-sized hail, the hail threat probably higher farther up to the north, maybe just south of Highway 14 in the northern portion of Iowa County. But this area under a tornado warning until 6:30, with an easterly movement at about 30 miles per hour. That would take it into the western portions of Dane County, probably by about 6:25, maybe just southwest of Mount Horeb. So we may see additional warnings may need to be issued for the east or western portions of Dane County as this line of thunderstorms and possible tornadoes continues on toward the south and toward the east. Farther to the north, we also have a tornado warning for northeastern portions of Columbia County, but you can see how quickly that line of storms now already through the Cambria-Friesland area, almost into Dodge County. So we may need to see if additional warnings need to be issued into the western portions of Dodge County near Beaver Dam up toward Fox Lake, because this line of storms is really booking eastward pretty quickly at about maybe 50 to 60 miles per hour, probably producing straight line winds of at least 60 miles per hour along the length of this line of thunderstorms. And then the potential is there for these spin-ups to occur very quickly and maybe produce some enhanced damage from a brief tornado touchdown somewhere within there. So I'm just looking to see if any additional warnings have come out. We'll widen out the radar view here. So right now, 2 tornado warnings, 2 severe thunderstorm warnings. Tornado warnings, northeastern portion of Iowa County, north and east of Dodgeville. Tornado warning, northeastern Columbia County. That's up around the Cambria-Friesland area. And then in between, severe thunderstorm warnings for northeastern and northern Dane County, southern portions of Columbia County. Also severe thunderstorm warnings for southern portions of Marquette and Green Lake counties, the rest of eastern Columbia County, and then also a severe thunderstorm warning now for the southwestern portion of Juneau County. So a bunch of warnings in effect, but 2 tornado warnings still in effect across our viewing area, and we will stay on the air for those of you expecting to see News 3 at 6, News 3 Now at 6, we're on the air with continuous coverage because of multiple tornado warnings that we have in effect. I'm going back right now to the Iowa County storm. That looks, just to me, it looks like it's weakening a little bit. That might be good news there, but it's very hard to say. We haven't been seeing any additional comments from the National Weather Service, at least as far as confirmed tornado touchdowns or damage reports or spotter reports. Right now, it's primarily a radar indicated tornado, and you can see that when we query the warning, it actually says radar indicated as opposed to observed. Looks like the radar is just updated. Yeah, now we're just seeing a much more broad circulation, maybe some strong straight line winds around Ridgeway. That could be good news. That storm, as it pushes eastward into the Barneveld area, if that's where a tornado is, that's where it's more likely to be. But we're seeing now more of a straight line wind event than a wind circulation. Just weak winds here more of the winds, even north of the storm, in a traveling toward the Doppler radar in Sullivan, Wisconsin, out to the well off to the east. So we're not seeing that pronounced wind circulation that we were seeing before. There's the live view from our WISC Skycam. That's looking off toward the northwest. We're actually, let's see, we would be right about over here. So we're looking back in this direction here. Let me just go back to the radar display here. So what you're looking at, so from our tower cam, you're looking back in this direction, and that's those are the storms that are coming in from the west there. So again, we're watching the front edge of this line of storms. The straight line winds are more likely going to be right at the front edge of the precipitation shield here. So just because it's, you're not seeing the reds where you are, you're actually in the danger zone, say from Verona and Mount Horeb, back to the north and west to up around Wanakee, because the rain hasn't reached you yet. That's where you're more likely seeing or going to very quickly see the strong straight line winds. The tornado threat back on the southwest part of the storm, where all the warm and moist air can kind of consolidate into the storm and feed the updraft that gets pulled northward along with the rest of the line of storms. So this is where the tornado threat is a little bit higher out toward Ridgway and Barneveld. But even there, the good news, at least what we've been seeing, is that the tornado threat appears to be a little bit less, certainly less than what we saw before from the Doppler radar, and also from just surface reports. We had reports of tornado on the ground southwest of Blue River, power outages around Boscobel. So pretty good indication that we were seeing some tornado damage at that point. One thing I want to look at here is just to see whether or not we have the ability to kind of query a storm and take a look and see what the Doppler radar is kind of indicating, at least as far as the storm intensity. So querying that storm, we're seeing the tornado impact much lower. Now, whenever we see these numbers above 7, that's when we're really concerned. When they're 5 or above, probably a decent concern. Right now, hail impact 5.7. And again, large hail probably occurring north of Barneveld, maybe the size of quarters or a little bit larger. Flooding impact also fairly high because of the fact that these storms have been kind of now consolidating more in a west to east manner, and they've moved over the same general area. So you're seeing some heavier amounts of rain. Wind impact, at least from this storm, relatively low, except maybe on the far southern part of the storm, where the outflow is starting to take over, and if anything, it might at least be lessening the tornado threat. But at the same time, we're continuing to watch at least the potential for a tornado to develop. And now let's go back to that here, because that looked a little more interesting. So this is, here's the wind velocity, starting to see maybe a little more of a circulation just to the southwest of Barneveld. These are all winds moving in the same general direction, but these are very strong and these are very weak. So we could start to see a circulation develop right around Barneveld, right along 18151, and that would take it in. This is the Dane County line. So again, no warning right now for Dane County, but we may need to see warnings issued very quickly for the western portion of Dane County as that storm in Iowa County continues off toward the east. So let me just see here. I just want to see if we can, I'm trying to get some additional information from the National Weather Service. We have the ability to actually get information directly from the source here. And what I want to do is sign in here. It'll take a little while to do that. So while that's happening, we're continuing to watch this line of storms as it continues through the northwestern portion of Dane County. Now, the wind damage potential probably a little bit less in this area, because this is kind of where that line pivots. It's not pushing more southeast. It's building back toward the west. The northern portion of the line through Columbia County has been racing eastward, so it's kind of stretching the line out a little bit. And because of that, the damage potential here a little bit higher. Yes, sir.
We have backup. Julian's here working on socials. So
okay, so we got Austin Kopnitsky, we got Julian Seawright here, both working behind the scenes, at least as far as the off-air things. You can go online to our Channel 3000 Facebook page for additional information, channel3000.com, our News 3 Now weather app, First Warn weather app, another good place for useful information. And it looks like a new warning now is being issued for Dane County. And that is a severe thunderstorm warning, southwestern Dane County, and that is in effect until 7:15. So that is this area right here. And that's this area right here. So that includes Mount Horeb, Verona, Fitchburg, City of Madison. So pretty much the rest of Dane County that wasn't in that northern warning, now in a severe thunderstorm warning until 7:15. And again, the tornado possible threat marker has been added to this as this storm out of Iowa County that still is under a tornado warning as that storm continues to track into the western portions of Dane County. So we're going to keep a very close eye on these storms. The northern portion of this line of storms already passing across Plains and Mazomanie will be approached. There's Middleton, so it's already almost to Middleton, just about to Verona right over here, Fitchburg here. So be prepared for some strong straight line winds, maybe 50 to 60 miles per hour as this area of storms moves in. The tornado threat probably closer now to Barneveld and eventually toward Mount Horeb. We'll go back to the wind velocity. Yeah, maybe a little bit of a wind circulation continuing to try to develop just maybe around or just to the east of Barneveld, right along Highway 18151. So Mount Horeb, I would probably go to my safe area right now, just on the off chance that this storm starts to produce a tornado pretty quickly. We were under a severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible threat marker on it. So again, it might not be a bad idea for, say, from Verona westward to go to your safe area as the storm continues to move in from the west, because of the fact that if there is going to be a tornado, that's most likely where it is, and starting to see a little bit more of a wind circulation. Farther to the north, these are probably straight line winds that are just north of Middleton. There's Highway 12, the town of Springfield over here. There's Wanakee. So Wanakee and Madison should be prepared for straight line winds as this part of the storm surges to the east. But the southwest part of the storm, this is where we may start to see a wind circulation develop. And I'm going to go. I know we've got our camera, our Skycam. Al, if you could go take that full screen, please. I'd like to see the view. This is from our WISC Skycam looking off toward the west. Is that? Yeah. So this is from our Skycam, and so you can see that this is the front edge of the line of storms. Not seeing any lowering of the cloud or anything like that. So we're going to keep an eye on that because this is looking almost straight west from our station. And maybe if we can come back to the map here for a second, I can show you where we are in relation. So we're located right about here. And so we're looking back this way. So what we're seeing is this part of the storm here. The tornado warning part of the storm is still well out to the west, over between Barneveld and Mount Horeb, approaching the Dane County line. Looks like we might have just gotten a new update from the Weather Service. It looks like they kind of cut back on that warning area, and they're saying storm capable of producing a tornado 8 miles east of Dodgeville, moving east at 20 miles per hour. So again, that's the same system that we've been watching north and east of Dodgeville, now right around Barneveld, and then eventually about ready to cross over into Dane County. Farther to the, so that tornado warning in effect until 6:30. Right now, we're approaching 6:15, looking to see farther to the north if we have any additional warnings here. And that line of storms that has pushed through Columbia County, now moving into the western portions of Dodge County. No warning in effect for the area around Beaver Dam, but the storms are almost already there. The tornado warning for the western portion or the eastern portion of Columbia County has been allowed to expire, and the severe weather threat is really cut down there. I would say even Marquette County, you're pretty much in the clear. Southern portions of Green Lake County and the western portions of Dodge County right now, probably most at risk from some strong straight line winds. We'll have to see if additional warnings need to be issued downstream into Dodge County. Farther to the south and west, all of Dane County and pretty much the southern portion of Columbia County under severe thunderstorm warnings. And with these yellow shadings, that's an indication that these storms could also quickly produce a tornado. So there are severe thunderstorm warnings, but the confidence isn't high enough to issue a tornado warning. So be prepared as this line of storms continues in from the north and west. The northern portion of the line has pushed out very quickly and it's starting to weaken. The southern part of the line kind of stretched out and is starting to break up a little bit. And now the southern portion of the line starting to kind of develop into its more like more of an entity of itself. So the straight line wind potential pretty much starting to approach Madison pretty quickly from the west. And you can see to the south and west, that's the back edge of the storm. That's where the tornado potential is a little bit higher. And you can see on our tower cam there that these storms are moving pretty rapidly. Just starting to see the rain here. Be interesting to see, even the raindrops are starting to blow around on the camera. So we're probably starting to experiencing some pretty strong winds here as that line of storms starts to roll through. But you can see the rain has just started. We're not seeing a lot in the way of rain, but it will start raining hard here very, very shortly as that line of storms comes back through the Madison area. This is some information. Concert at Breeze Stevens Field has been evacuated. Obviously, as this line of storms rolls through, this is from our Edgewater sky cam looking back, I think, toward Picnic Point, and you can see the storms just about rolling into the Madison area right now across Lake Mendota as we speak. So again, Madison, be prepared for some very strong straight line winds in the next 2 or 3 minutes as that line of storms continues to push through. We'll zoom back into the cell that's just about ready to move into Dane County here. And this is, let's see here, let's save this so I can go back to it. So here is our wind velocity. Yeah, we might start, this does bear some watching. This is between Barneveld now and Mount Horeb, just crossing over into the western portion of Dane County. Some wind circulation there, maybe just some pockets of strong straight line winds just along and south of US 18151 approaching Mount Horeb from the west. There's Highway 78. So in the town of Perry. So between Mount Horeb and Perry, you may have the potential for some strong straight line winds very shortly, and we'll have to see whether or not that's a developing circulation just to the west of Mount Horeb. It's looking a little more interesting every radar scan that goes by. Farther to the north, these are probably pretty strong straight line winds ready to approach Madison, the city of Madison, and areas north of Lake Mendota, right along Highway 113, and there's US 51, I-39, 90, 94. This area here will be looking for some very strong straight line winds, probably within about the next 5 to 10 minutes. Just waiting to see here from the National Weather Service to see what we might have here as far as additional warnings. But I'm just going to check the warning for Dane County right now. They're concerned about the severe thunderstorms 8 miles west of Mount Horeb, moving southeast at 35 miles per hour. So again, these storms starting to develop more south of east than moving directly east like they were earlier. Austin.
And Sarah just has a report that the wind is kicking up on the west side of town. Middleton also seeing high winds, heavy downpours right now.
Okay, so Austin was saying that we've got high winds and heavy downpours on the west side of Madison, and that's on the northern portion of this line of storms. But again, this is the most concerned area, at least right now, about ready to move into the western portion of Dane County. Let's see. It sounds like we might have an additional warning coming in here. I'm going to widen out the view here just to give you a little better idea of where these are the current warnings that are in effect. So this is the northern portion of the line of storms has pushed eastward into Beaver Dam, probably producing 40 to 50 mile per hour winds, some strong wind gusts. But that's starting to weaken a little bit as it kind of outruns its support. It doesn't have the flow of warm and humid air into that part of the storm. There may have to be additional warnings issued downwind from that, but we'll have to see. Right now, the area of concern, severe thunderstorm warning for most of Dane County for severe thunderstorms with high winds and the possibility that these storms could briefly produce a tornado. Tornado warning continues over the western portion of Iowa County, that in effect until 6:30 p.m., and that is just about ready to cross over into Dane County. So that gives us another 10 minutes or so where we would be on the air. Once we get down to just severe thunderstorm warnings, we'll keep a close eye and go back to regular programming. Unfortunately, we will be missing News 3 Now at 6. And unfortunately, we did miss out on golf, but again, the public safety far more important because of a confirmed tornado that moved through much of the northern portion of Grant County, maybe into Iowa County as well. That same circulation now moving into the western portion of Dane County, right around Mount Horeb, but just about ready to move out of Iowa County. So if the National Weather Service does decide to cancel that warning early, that would be good news. Right now, ahead of it, severe thunderstorm warnings. In fact, I can hear the rain pounding the roof overhead here. So obviously, yeah, you see the view from the station that we are seeing very heavy rain here. Also, National Weather Service in La Crosse is issuing a flash flood watch for much of southwestern Wisconsin, including, looks like Juneau, Adams, Richland counties, flash flood watch, and that is in effect through tomorrow morning. Much of that area has already seen some heavy rain. In fact, I'm going to just take a quick look at the rainfall estimates. We did have some flash flood warnings in the La Crosse area earlier, but I'm going to take just a quick peek here to get an idea of where the heaviest rain is falling. And you can see it's pounding the station right now. This is, let's see if I can get a precipitation estimate. This is over the last 12 hours that I'll be looking at here. So Al, if you can come back to camera 4 here. So what we're looking at here, these are radar rainfall estimates, and this might have been 4 to 5 inches of rain from La Crosse into the northern portions of Vernon and southwestern portions of Monroe County, and maybe 2 to 3 inches as far east as Sauk County and northern portions of Richland County. And this is just over the last 12 hours. So that's why the National Weather Service has issued a flash flood watch for much of this area through tomorrow morning for additional storms that may be coming in from the west. We'll go back here. I'm going to just check and see if we have additional warnings. I'm sure the tornado warning for Iowa County will probably be allowed to expire because of the fact that that storm now is almost completely into Dane County. So right now it's being covered by a severe thunderstorm warning for Dane County. This does include the city of Madison. We've already seen strong straight line winds, heavy rain moving through this area. But the storms are starting to push eastward a little bit more rapidly. In fact, I'm going to go to the full radar loop here, and you can see this line of storms continues off toward the east, starting to build a little bit more toward the south and east, mainly from western Dane County through the western portions of Dodge County. The storm's accelerating eastward at about maybe 40 to 50 miles per hour. You can see a couple of stronger thunderstorms up in Juneau County. And then farther to the west, just see if we have any additional storm development back there, because the future radar was indicating the potential for that. Starting to see some isolated thunderstorm development here, and we'll have to see if additional storms develop here and then move eastward to affect us later on tonight. So that is something that we will have to keep an eye on. But right now, the tornado warning, I would say Iowa County pretty much out of the tornado threat. Now, it looks like if there is a tornado threat, it's going to be in the western portion of Dane County. Right now, a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for pretty much all of Dane County until about 7:15. We will take a look here at the wind velocities now to see if we're seeing any more of a wind circulation here. Oops, and let's go back here. So yeah, we had that stronger wind circulation east of Barneveld. Now it's a little bit more diffuse. Probably seeing some strong winds south of Mount Horeb, eventually over toward Primrose, Mount Vernon. Here's Verona over here, Belleville down over here, Fitchburg out to the west. So this is starting to transition more into a straight line wind event for the western and northwestern portions of Dane County. Also the potential there for some large hail. This is hail track over the last couple of hours, and you can see that the most severe hail was back toward Highland, that area in yellow. This is where they're probably seeing $half sized hail. This is probably more quarter-sized hail, and this is more nickel to penny-sized hail. So that definitely shows that the storm trend has been weakening as they push off toward the east. If we look at hail zone, which is a prediction over the next 30 minutes, and this is only updated a couple of times an hour, the potential there for at least some penny-sized hail to the west of Mount Horeb. Eventually, that hail threat area might extend along Highway 18151 through Verona and into Fitchburg with at least some small, maybe penny to nickel-sized hail as it appears right now. But the winds, let's go back to the wind velocities here. Yeah, we're definitely not seeing even the wind circulation that we saw just a few minutes ago over in the Barneveld, or just near the Barneveld area. This is more of a straight line wind event. So town of Primrose, again, Mount Vernon, Belleville, Paoli, Verona. This area here, be prepared for some strong winds, 40 to 50 miles per hour, maybe some stronger gusts as these storms approach from the west, probably right out ahead of the rain. Once the rain starts, the winds should start to die down pretty quickly because these storms are moving pretty rapidly as well. I'll put what I'll do is I'll put the radar loop here just to kind of give you a perspective. So there's the severe thunderstorm moving through our station area. So here's the latest radar. This is a radar loop over the last hour, and you can see how the southern edge of this line is starting to build a little bit more toward the south, but the storms are moving pretty quickly. It probably will rain hard for about maybe 15 to 30 minutes where you are, and then after that, the rain should start to lessen up in intensity. Quite a bit of lightning along the line of thunderstorms there, and we have new severe thunderstorm warning for northeastern Dane County until 7:15. So what that does is that actually just kind of extends the warning that we had earlier and takes Columbia County out of it. So pretty much all of Dane County, there's the northeastern warning, southwestern warning. These are both in effect until 7:15. So all of Dane County is under a severe thunderstorm warning until 7:15. The tornado warning will be allowed to expire for Iowa County, obviously, because the storms are out of Iowa County, but we continue to watch this line of storms. This would be the area that would be a little bit more of concern for if there was a tornado to try to develop. That would be the area approaching Verona and maybe Paoli from the west right now, but we're not seeing even the wind circulation that we saw 15 minutes ago there. So this is primarily turning into a straight line wind event, especially through Madison. Notice a little bow echo here, heading out toward Marshall, Sun Prairie, this area here, Cottage Grove. Be prepared for some strong straight line winds as this line of storms continues to move in from the west. In fact, I'm just going to see what the Weather Service says on that latest warning update here for northeastern Dane County. They're saying severe thunderstorms near Sun Prairie moving southeast at 35 miles per hour, hazard 60 mile per hour wind gusts. So we'll have to keep an eye out on that. Hopefully my earpiece just went off. Maybe it's just my, hopefully it's not my microphone that went out. There we go. Oh, there we go. Got my audio back here. So yeah, we will take this to the bottom of the hour. The tornado warning for Iowa County, even though it runs until 6:30, the storms are out of Iowa County. Right now, the only warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings for all of Dane County until 7:15. Again, straight line winds, the main threat. An outside chance that these storms could briefly produce a tornado, so we're going to keep an eye on that, as we head through the evening, as these storms may start to weaken a little bit, but we'll have to see whether or not they could produce a tornado. I need to change my battery here. It looks like my earpiece battery is starting to go out, so we'll make a quick change on the air here. Pop that in there. There we go. And I don't know if somebody in the control room wants to let me know. I'm going to take this until the bottom of the hour, so we're all set there. Unless we have a new tornado warning come out right now, the only warnings that we'll have in effect after 6:30 will be for Dane County. That warning runs until 7:15. So recapping. A line of severe thunderstorms running right through the city of Madison right now, back to northwest of Verona, down toward Mount Horeb, and into the southwestern portion of Dane County. Straight line winds to 60 miles per hour, the main threat. Not out of the question that a brief tornado could eventually occur somewhere along that line. Not seeing it right now. I'm just going to take a quick peek at the wind velocity here just to see. Mainly straight line winds. We're not seeing wind circulations along the line. I'll look farther to the north into Madison. Could be seeing some very strong winds, though, north of Madison, heading towards Cottage Grove, Sun Prairie. This area here could be seeing winds maybe 60 to 65 miles per hour, right along I-94, heading east of Madison and south of Sun Prairie. So, again, that area has the potential for strong straight-line winds of 60 to 70 miles per hour, but even the southern portion of Dane County also could be seeing some strong winds. Right now, not seeing any development farther to the south into Greene and Rock counties. So at this point, we're probably going to be able to go back to programming. I'm not sure when the bottom of the hour is here. If somebody could tell me in my ear when we need to toss it back, I can fill to the bottom of the hour. Again, severe thunderstorm warnings, all of Dane County, in effect until 7:15. We have tornado warning for Iowa County is over with. That will be allowed to expire. Straight line winds to 60 miles per hour, heavy rain, and the possibility. I'm going to actually go back to programming here because at this point, I think the severe weather threat is lessening a little bit, and I think we can do that. But again, we will be back on the air just as quickly as we need to be should the situation change. But right now, the main threat is going to be straight line winds, maybe some hail, and some very heavy rainfall that could cause some localized flooding. So we will keep an eye on the situation, and we'll come back on the air as soon as we need to be. This is meteorologist Gary Canelti.